Progress.
All right, we'd like to call this meeting to order. And I would like to ask, first off, welcome everyone. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm a little frazzled today. Do I have a motion for a flexible agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt a flexible agenda.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Ms. Knighting, a second by Ms. Miller. Is there any discussion by the board? We'll open it up for public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? Specifically about the flexible agenda. Sorry. All right. Seeing as there is none, we will close public comment. All in favor of motion on the floor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. At this time, I would like to ask Ms. Knighting to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would it be acceptable to do our special recognition before public comment?
Yes.
All right, then let's go ahead and do our special recognition because I know there are quite a few people here for that. So I will turn the time over to Mr. Alvarado.
Do we have Miss Betts here tonight? Miss Betts, if you can please come up to the podium, and also Noelle Sweeney. Noelle, if you don't mind hitting the microphone button here. So the Betts Scholarships is an annual award that is provided here in DCSD. Miss Betts typically attends the meeting and presents the award. Our lucky winner is Noelle Sweeney. So Noelle, if you don't mind pulling the microphone towards you, and if you want to give a quick statement about your position here in the district and what you plan on doing with the scholarship.
I'm a paraprofessional and I work at CC Manili. I'm going to school to be a teacher and I have my Associates of Arts already. And I'm looking to continue my education.
Great. So Ms. Betts, if you want to give your presentation of the scholarship, that now is your opportunity.
Thank you. I'm going to relinquish my time to one of our sons. This is Chris Betts, who is a graduate of Douglas High School. And he's going to make the presentation for us. Thank you.
Chris Betts, thank you for being here to provide the scholarship to Ms. Sweeney.
Class of 83.
You want to stand up?
Oh, I think that. Superintendent Alvarado, Board of Trustees, members of the community, and Shannon Brown, who I don't know if is here yet. We'd like to thank you for this opportunity to announce the recipient of the Dr. F. Gregory Betts Education Foundation. This is our 13th year now, and we offer financial assistance to not just teachers who want to advance their degrees, but to bus drivers, people who teach shop, want to learn another welding class. So it's a great program. This year's recipient is Noelle Sweeney, and we'd like to ask you just briefly your background and where you hope to be going. Maybe you did that a minute ago.
I'm going to school to teach elementary school.
Is this mic on?
Yes.
I know, I started here for them.
I guess hard of hearing.
Excellent. Okay. Checks in the mail.
Noel, can you share your anticipated completion date for your license in the school that you're attending?
They told me that it was gonna be a year and a half, and I was planning on going to Grand Canyon University.
Fantastic. Anyone add one?
I think we can cut the meeting short if I say I have nothing to say. But congratulations. Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to get a picture, so if you can please stand for a photo opportunity.
Thank you so much and congratulations. Super exciting. We hope that when you graduate, you come back and teach elementary school here in Douglas County. So we look forward to that future date. All right, at this time, we will open it up for public comment. This is anything that is not on the agenda. And please make sure that you state your name for the record.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board members, superintendent. My name is Kyle
Will you-
Dalphy.
Sorry,
Oh,
will you also
I'll sign my
in
name.
favor?
Oh, yeah,
Thank
let's
you.
do that. Okay. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Just one more second. Do we have a timer? Okay, working on it.
Yeah.
Would you do it the old fashioned way? And Catherine, thank you.
We have the timer over here. We're ready.
Oh, they're ready. Okay, 3 minutes. Sorry.
So,
Thank you.
thank you. My name is Kyle Dalphy. I am the president of Western Nevada College, and I told the superintendent I would go a minute, but because I do sit in the president's seat, I can go all day. So thank you for the timer. I am here today just as a start off the school year. Thank you to the school board and to Superintendent Alvarado's office for the partnership of the district with our Jumpstart program and dual enrollment programs. Of the 900 or so students we served last year out of Douglas County, nearly 300 of them were high school dual enrollment students. Western Nevada College has excelled in serving high school students throughout the state, but our immediate 6-county area, to the point where we're 40% dual enrollment students, and it's a big deal. And we are helping students get the credits they need, either to step into a 4-year degree or a training to go into the workforce. And so I don't often get a chance to come in front of the board and say thank you. So I'm saying thank you today, and we look forward to the partnerships going forward. I also want to say thank you for the Aspire partnership, where you have been renting one of our campus here in Minden, our Douglas campus, and give you just a brief, quick update that campus, we will not be extending that lease beyond June 30, which I think you're aware of. And we appreciate the partnership, and we appreciate the consideration of the superintendent for ending that lease, because we are going to turn that campus into more of an allied health focused nursing facility with the help of a $4.5 million federal grant. It'll play out in the next 3 to 4 years. We are open, of course, to accommodate for any space that is needed by the district to rent, to use a room at night, that sort of thing. So with that, I'll stop there. I know this is public comment in your open meeting law. You're not allowed to ask questions, but if you would like any presentation in the future, I'm happy to come back and I'm happy to give you more details or more information. So thank you.
Thank you very much for coming, and thank you for giving us those numbers. That's always good to know. We appreciate it. That'd be great. Thank you.
And board, just for clarity, you can engage in discussion after somebody's done with their comment. You just don't have to.
Ah.
So if you have questions, the 3 minutes applies to the presentation time, but if you guys have follow-up afterwards, you're allowed to do that.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for him? Yeah. I think setting up something, Mr. Alvarado, to have him come back and do a presentation.
Yes, we are meeting on dual enrollment to be provided at our high school.
Mhm.
And so we still have this whole year to plan that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so we'll do a presentation at some point this year.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Is there any other further public comment? All right. Oh, will you turn your mic on? Thank you. Will you start over?
That's good because I can't talk much louder. My name is Jim Valentine. I'm a Douglas County resident. I'm here to speak about the dog park behind the district office. I can't find any trace of any approval process for that. I've been told that what happened is the dog people started showing up and they forced the issue by their insistence and behavior. They were denting district employees' cars and being very rude, so acting superintendent had facilities install a gate on the west end, lock the gates on the 7th Street side, and install signs directing the public to the 8th Street side. The dog people then took their behavior to our end of the park. They are now rude to my tenant and insisting on parking in front of the home. One in particular purposely blocks the driveway because, quote, they were asked not to. 8th Street is the only one that has a street-facing home, and that's mine. On the 7th Street side, the homes are accessed off the alley. So there's a lot of street parking for users. There is also plenty of parking available on County Road. The school district has forced the dog people to the only side of the park that needs on-street parking. I have dogs. I used to breed dogs. This isn't a dog problem, it's a people problem. I am well aware of what is entailed in living across from a park. I have a home on Minden Park that was acquired in 1979. For decades, we have dealt with people at Minden Park for events and experienced fewer problems than we have at the dog park in its short existence. We have owned the 8th Street house for 23 years. We had no problems over the years with people playing with their dogs, conducting a flag football or soccer practice, etc. No problems until this dog park situation. The situation is interesting as dogs are not permitted on school grounds. What is different about district office property? It is used as an off-leash area. Who designated it an off-leash area? Does your insurance company know about it? Will they insure incidents in an off-leash dog park when they think you don't allow dogs on your property? At Minden Park, 2 blocks away, dogs must be on a leash. Regarding the approval process, was there town of Minden cooperation and input? As a homeowner, I received no notification regarding the matter. If you are going to continue to allow it to be used as a dog park, please, A, unlock the 7th Street gate and take the direction signs down. B, put a gate on the county roadside. And C, lock the 8th Street gate. Thank you for your understanding, cooperation, and anticipated action.
Thank you very much.
Any questions? I just thought I'd take the opportunity.
Yeah, that's a lot of information that was given to us. So thank you very much for that. And yeah. No, that's why we have public comment. So thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, you know Miss Miller. Okay, so we will get your contact information from her if that's okay. Yes. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good afternoon, Marty Swisher, Gardnerville resident. I want to start off with a positive in that the beginning of school is one of the most energetic times of the year. I used to equate it as a principal to you're launching a rocket. And you've got a lot of people that have made a lot of plans to make this happen and make it successful. And once you launch with all the energy that it takes to get things going, you head in a direction. And the job of this board with the school district, because we're in launch mode right now, is to help direct that rocket to make sure that every decision that you make is about kids and for staff. Super, super important. So getting dragged away from issues that don't directly relate to kids, I know that's part of the job, but try to keep the focus on that. There's good energy right now. I've been at Douglas High School for a couple of weeks and was there yesterday, the last couple of days for the opening of school, and it's got really good energy. So I'm excited about that. The second thing I want to encourage this board to do is make a monthly commitment to have a budget update. It's an issue for the school district. It's an issue that a lot of people in the public are not aware of. And so I would encourage you strongly to have a standing item on your agenda of a budget update and keep tracking that throughout the course of the year. What we focus on, we get done. So thank you for considering that. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Is there any further public comment? Do we have any online? Okay. All right.
Hi, Valerie Luchman, former Assistant Director of IT as of yesterday, and Gardnerville Elementary School parent. And I have more of a request with the sacrifice of my position yesterday and following up with Mr. Swisher on more about the budgets. I have a request that at least if my position is sacrificed, can that money go towards inclusive ed? Because we are sorely lacking in staff for inclusive ed in this district. And it's very important to me that it goes there instead of lining people's pockets who don't deserve it. So that would be fantastic. That's all.
Thank you. Any further public comment? One online? Okay.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me okay? Okay.
Our online public commenter, you can speak. You have the ability to speak. Please state your name.
May Hyatt. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes? Test, test. Can you guys hear me? Hello, hello? Can you guys hear me okay?
May, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Would it be acceptable for us to, you keep working on it, and when you get May and that's working, then we can come back to that? Is that acceptable?
It is, and I don't know if you can hear the person, you can offer them the accommodation of allowing them to submit their comment electronically as well and be made part of the record.
Okay. So May, if you heard that.
I can hear you guys. I don't know if your tech people can hear me okay.
Include it in our minutes because we're having some technical difficulties on this end.
I understand.
All right. Is there any further public comment from those in attendance? All right.
I'm sorry.
You guys can't hear me?
We can't hear you inside the auditorium.
Okay, but you can hear me.
I can hear you on Zoom.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay.
Ma'am, this is Ryan Russell, Board Counsel. And if it would be a reasonable accommodation, the board can allow you to make your comment in writing and make it a part of the record if that would be acceptable to you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll send an email later on this afternoon, or tomorrow.
Excellent. And for the record, I heard, yeah, that's fine. You'll send the email. We'll make it a part of the record and we appreciate your patience.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Seeing as there is no further public comment, we will close it. And we will go into agenda item number 4. Mr. Russell, is there anything you would like to say about this?
No, this is the time and place set to acknowledge an open meeting law violation as set forth in the agenda. For those with concerns or, well, this isn't the time to argue the propriety of the open meeting law violation by acknowledging you are not admitting that you agree with it. You are simply following the order issued by the Attorney General that requires this board to acknowledge it.
And does anyone need to abstain?
No.
Okay. All right. Is there any discussion that needs to be had by the board? All right, we will open it up for public comment at this time concerning this agenda item. And please make sure you put your name on the list. Thank you.
Adrian Sawyer for the record, parent of 3 DCSD students. The intent of open meeting law is to ensure transparency and accountability in government by requiring public bodies to conduct their business openly. These laws aim to foster public trust and participation in government by allowing citizens to observe the decision-making process. 3 current trustees robbed the public of their right to participate, broke public trust, and violated the law. The Office of Attorney General found the board violated open meeting law by, quote, deliberating via serial communication outside of the public meeting. They also found that board members reached a, quote, constructive quorum with the intent of avoiding provisions of OML. This is the fifth OML violation 3 current board members of the board have been involved with since taking office. This violation is especially egregious because it occurred at the very first public meeting as new board members. It is deeply concerning that the current board members had a preordained agenda and were circumventing the law to hide their agenda from the public. This finding is vindication that the public was correct to question the lack of transparency and the direction the board was taking. This board oversees the education of 4,745 students. Parents look to the board to reflect the values we want instilled in our children. It is hypocritical of board members to purposely circumvent the law yet expect to have their rules followed. Their actions make a mockery of the position of trustee. One of the requirements when an OML violation occurs is that the public body must vote to accept the findings at a public meeting. Last month, in an act of extreme pettiness, 2 of the offending trustees voted against accepting the findings. I sincerely hope that is not the case this evening. Not only does it show that 2 trustees think they are above the law, it shows how much disdain they have towards members of the public for bringing their true colors to light. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Cheryl Bloomstrom. There's very little to say after Adrian spoke. She speaks the truth. She speaks eloquently. You have a public trust. The public insists, the public deserves to know what you do, both with their money, but most importantly with their children. And when you violate the open meeting law, as you did at the very first meeting, by purposes of avoiding what you thought you were doing, and you did it incorrectly anyway, you were pretty badly advised there, but you had the opportunity to learn from it, and you didn't take that opportunity either. And that open meeting law was the genesis, the beginning of the lawsuit that created the writ of mandamus to gather the records that are now in the public record that show that you did what we thought you probably did. You violated the open meeting law in ways large and small, and we deserve better. So I appreciate those of you who are listening very much. It's an important lesson, and it's one that you need to take to heart. And those of you who aren't listening should be ashamed of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Swisher, before you get started, I note that we received written public comment from you already on this agenda item. So you can either submit written public comment or give oral public comment. You can't do both.
So I've chosen to give oral public comment and bypass the written comment. The
So
written comment.
your written comment will be stricken from the record then, and you can provide your oral comment now.
Thank you. Marty Swisher, Gardnerville resident. There have been a series of open meeting law violation complaints that have recently received findings from the Office of the Attorney General. One was a complaint against trustees Gilkersons, Kangas, and Wagstaff for meeting with their legal counsel during a meeting. This was brought by two members of the public, and the Office of Attorney General found no violation and no wrongdoing. Next, there was a complaint from Leslie Holkinson alleging that her First Amendment right to speak was limited and that she did not disrupt a meeting as accused. She was asked to be quiet and sit down, and then was asked to leave and would be escorted out of the meeting. The Office of Attorney General found that her rights were violated. She was limited. And at that time, Trustee Jansen was the president. I think there's still an apology that probably should be made, in my view, but it's not legally required, but I think it's the moral and ethical thing to do. The board found 7-0 that they accepted those findings. There was a complaint made by May Hyatt that was related to the selection of the original panel of candidates for the superintendent's position, and that this occurred outside of a public meeting. And the Office of Attorney General found that that was in fact a violation of the open meeting law. In the Record Courier, in an article from July 23rd, 2025, Trustee Jansen said, quote, "Jeannie Dwyer controlled the whole process. Other than that, I have no knowledge of anything that went on behind the scenes. I don't know who was in the total candidate pool on her criteria or her criteria for moving candidates forward." Well, in fact, the board developed and approved the process and directed Mrs. Dwyer and Joey Gilbert Law to put it in place. I think that is a sad lack of taking responsibility as a board and as a particular trustee. I just think that we can do better, and we need to do better. The vote on that issue was 4-2, with Trustee Burns and Trustee Jansen voting against it. Tonight, you have another finding of from the Attorney General's office. It finds that trustees Burns, Dickerson, Jansen, and Engelkirk participated outside of a public meeting to predetermine officer positions. The Office of Attorney General found that their communications and actions constituted, quote, "a constructive quorum," end quote, and violated the open meeting law. On this item, you have the opportunity to vote to accept or reject their findings. If any trustee votes no, doesn't sound like they can abstain, he or she is duty bound to explain that vote to the public. What are your reasons for
That's
the
3
vote?
minutes, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment?
Is this on? Oh. Anyway, Beth Bunch, when I read this open meeting law so-called violation, I was absolutely amazed at rules and regulations, that these are rules and regulations by our so-called legal system that were broken. I mean, you can't kick around ideas amongst each other, and they're all found in violation. And again, it was brought up about the 3 that got up out of the meeting, and I would say that was more of a violation than anything. But knowing our Nevada State Attorney General, it's interesting how they're found guilty of something I think is just very innocent. Kicking around ideas, are you interested, are you not interested, and it's an open meeting violation. And this Mr. McGuffin guy, it's just interesting how through all of this and the ensuing lawsuits and everything, that it was always the 4 were targeted, not anyone else, because I've noticed orchestrated attempts or orchestrated meeting where there was obviously things put in place, agreements made, and carried out at the meetings. Obviously, there was pre-meeting orchestration, if that makes sense. And no question, no problem, because they're of the other faction. And it's very sad that there is factions. So of course, nothing towards them at all, just the 4. So it just really shows me that there is definitely an agenda. They're the target. It's malicious, it's hurtful, it's harassment, and it continued on and it continued on. And it's very telling. And then for all the funds and the monies that have been run up in the bills, we've got so-called watchdog in Mr. Swisher keeping an eye on all the financial billing, and which is kind of like the fox at the hen door. So all I can say is I think this is pathetic that people can't even share what's on their minds amongst each other without being called an open meeting violation. Because I'd like to know, I'm sure that before all of you took the board, I'm sure there were some things going on, but of course you can get away with it. So when it's targeted, one side gets all the violations and the lawsuits, and the other side, oh, carry on, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Do we have any from online? All right, we will close public comment. Your microphone, Dave.
I'd like to request that we go one by one is on the vote.
Well, first we have to have a motion on the floor.
I can still put the question because it's possible action. So I'm asking that the vote be done by one of the trustees. Thank you.
Is there a reason that you would like to go one by one?
If it's not a yay or nay, it could be in a different term of wording. I know I will word different, so.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion from anyone on the board regarding agenda item number 4?
I'll make a motion to acknowledge the findings and fact and conclusions in regards to the open meeting law violation.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Miller and a second by Mr. Zinke. Is there any further discussion from the board? All right, then we will do a roll call voting. We'll start with Mr. Zinke.
Aye.
Aye.
Microphone.
Aye to acknowledge, not to agree.
The trustee voted aye, saying that she acknowledges the findings. She's saying not that she doesn't agree with them, but she does acknowledge them.
I say aye to acknowledge.
Aye.
Aye.
I acknowledge the findings, but I disagree with their conclusion.
Motion passes unanimously. All right, we are going to jump to agenda item number 14. That way we have Mr. Russell here for this and the following agenda item, superintendent compensation. And then after that, he will save us some more money and depart from our meeting. I think the rest of it'll go pretty good.
All right.
So, all right. So we've been trying to do this for a couple of months now. Maybe we'll get it right this time. All right.
So this has been a long and, in my opinion, open public process that you guys have gone through. Tonight, pursuant to Article 9 of the superintendent's contract with the board, you are going to, or you're given the opportunity to adopt an evaluation rating that is pursuant to, again, Article 9, which says that annually you will evaluate the superintendent and adopt an evaluation score. If you want to give any feedback at this time, you can, in addition to what's already been done, not only in the sheets in the packet, but at the meetings prior. Once you adopt this item, I can explain item 15 once we get that. But this item is solely to adopt an evaluation score.
Okay. Ms. Knighting, do you have that final evaluation to read? Yes. Yes, I just figured that we would read it out loud so that it is part of public record, meeting record. It's okay.
Okay. Do you want me to just?
Yeah, if you would just read it, that would be great.
I don't have the evaluation in front of me to say what number 1 is.
Oh,
I mean, do you want me to read?
here, I can do that.
So on number 1, vision and strategic leadership, we as a board ranked him highly effective. Number 2, do you want to go to number 2?
Oh, number 2, sorry.
Ms. President, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Just so the record's very clear, the board hasn't ranked him yet. You've each submitted your own evaluations. And so what you're doing is presenting what the collective average of those are. And then the motion will be to adopt an overall
Okay.
rating that will actually be the action taken tonight.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, so I will start over number 1. On vision and strategic leadership, the average of the board was 3.89, which landed in highly effective. Number 2, management of organizational leadership. The board averaged out at a 4, which is highly effective. Number 3, collaboration with families and stakeholders, averaged at 3.71, which is highly effective. Number 4, ethics and integrity, averaged at 4.64, which is excellent. And number 5, governance and advocacy leadership, averaged at 4.4, which is highly effective.
So at this point,
We open it for public comment. Oh, we open it to
you can
discussion.
open it for discussion and then public comment. You can take a motion either before or after public comment. You cannot vote until you've taken public comment.
Correct. All right. Is there any discussion that the board would like to have at this time? All right. Then we will go ahead and open it for public comment.
Do I have to cite again?
No, that's
Okay.
okay.
Adrian Sawyer for the record, parent of 3 DCSD students. I support approval of the superintendent's rating. However, after looking over the evaluation forms, I wanted to thank the trustees who wrote comments and filled out the last page. The last page included overall summary of performance indicators, rationale for scores, areas to celebrate and areas to improve. Only one trustee filled that out. It is of great public interest to read the comments. I was disappointed that all the trustees did not complete the last page. As trustees, you have a close working relationship with the superintendent. Much of what the superintendent does is behind the scenes, so the public looks to the trustees for insights as to how things are going. The same evaluation tool was approved for the December evaluation of the superintendent. I hope that the trustees have time to complete the last page in the December evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you. That is a good note to do. I did not fill mine out. So I didn't know. And I personally, I didn't want to fill it out after I'd already done it because we didn't know. Anyway, that's okay. Beside the point. Any further public comment?
Hi. Are you ready? Okay. Valerie Luchman, former Assistant Director of IT and parent of a Gardnerville Elementary student. I'm just curious as to the evaluation of Superintendent Frankie Alvarado, if that includes looking over any formal complaints that were made with regards to the dignity of students and how they may be seen on the back end and discussed. If anybody has looked over any complaints against any staff members that Frankie was in charge of reviewing that have to do with protecting our students and their integrity and their dignity on the back end of things by use of their Chromebooks and possible illicit things going back and forth. If anything is read in those regards while evaluating how he is and how he's protecting our children. That's all.
Thank you.
I can help you.
All right. Is there any further public comment? Seeing as there is none, we will close public comment. Do I have a motion from someone on the board?
I'll make a motion that we accept the ratings
I'll
on.
second that.
So for clarity of the record, I think it was a motion to adopt a rating of highly effective as set forth in the packet.
I make a motion to accept the rating of highly effective that was set forth in the packet.
I will second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Knighting and a second by Mr. Burns. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. President, the next item, I believe you're going to take is item 15, correct?
Correct.
And that is the item listed for superintendent compensation. I will note that this item is listed for possible action. When an item is listed for possible action, that doesn't mean you have to actually take any. And what I will tell you about the superintendent's compensation pursuant to paragraph 4 of his agreement is that after the first year of his service, what he is entitled to is the same raises or consideration given to other administrative employees in the district. Because of that, and because the contract is still in effect, you actually don't have to do anything on this. Mr. Alvarado will simply receive what was provided to the other administrators. If there's any change you want to make to that, you can. I will tell you that it would require the consideration and an approval of both parties, which means if there was any change up or down or sideways, Mr. Alvarado would have to agree to it. But the terms of the contract are clear that he's simply entitled to what the other administrative employees were given.
Okay. Is there any discussion to be had by the board or questions?
Yes. I just got a question. I could be wrong on this. I thought there was a percent for each year that was in there for steps for each year.
There is. It's 3% first year, 4 second, 5, and then there's the overall catch-all statement that this salary rate shall be paid to superintendent in accordance with the salary payments for other administrative employees. And so it's a minimum. You are required to give him at least what the other administrative employees get.
So it could be 3% or higher?
3% or whatever was given to the other administrative employees, whichever's higher.
Okay.
Ms. Miller?
What was the percentage that was given to site administrators?
Administrators receive their step, so that's their years of service change, and PERS coverage. We're in a budget situation. I'm not asking the board to increase my salary above and beyond a step and PERS increase. So I just want to make that clear to the board and to
Well,
the public.
In answer, I was unclear with my comment just now, and I apologize for that. Mr. Alvarado's step is what Mr. Burns is referring to appropriately, and his step at this point is 3%, along with whatever other, the other administrative personnel received.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
So what's the time frame on the administration?
Can you clarify that?
When are they being reviewed for any increase?
All administrators received their step increase on July 1, the first payroll period after July 1, and we also covered PERS. That has already happened. I have had no change to compensation at all.
But what was their change? What was theirs? Was it above 3%?
We have to review the salary schedule. Ms. Dwyer, can you tell us the percentage increase per step for administrators?
I cannot tell you that, but we are currently, we're still currently in negotiations, and our administrators fall under a meet and confer group, and we haven't made any determinations of any benefits moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Can I? Yes.
So nobody got an increase? It wasn't just Frankie that didn't get one? Nobody got one, is that right, Jeannie?
So everybody received their step increase, and the PERS
Okay.
contribution was fully covered.
Got that?
But there have been no other increases. There haven't been raises or anything like that given to any.
What about his 3%?
That
Oh,
would be
that's
his
your
step increase.
Okay, I'm sorry,
And we can calculate really quickly. I can look
No,
at the
that's
salary
fine. I
schedule
don't
and
need
tell
to-
you what the
no,
administrative
that's fine.
increase.
I just
step
wanted to know
increase.
if it was just, he hadn't, because I heard him say I didn't receive compensation yet, so I was unclear about that.
No,
Maybe I
I
misunderstood.
did not take a step in the first payroll period. I thought, for public transparency,
Oh.
for board transparency, we would solicit conversation here, dialogue, allow public comment, and then for me to notify the public and for all of our employees that I'm not expecting anything above and beyond what our administrators received.
I think I like you more. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion, correct me on this. I'd like to make a motion that we give Mr. Alvarado the 3% or higher according to the administration's raise.
Wouldn't that just be that we follow the contract?
That's okay, but it can be, so the record's clear and there's a voice of support, that you can simply say, we ratify the compensation provisions of the contract.
Well, I'd like to have that as laid out just the way it is to the contract. So yes, thank you. I want to add one more thing, but it can be separate, another motion, separate from this. So it's included in, it would be part of this, but I would like to separate it. So that's the motion as I made it.
President Wagstaff, I'll second that.
Okay.
So the motion and the second on the table is to ratify the compensation provisions in the contract. And once we have further discussion, there may be an amendment to that motion pending on what Mr. Burns wants to add to it before there's a vote. So I will keep
Correct.
note of that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there any further discussion by the board?
I'd like to just verify what the admin received in regards to their step, just to make sure it stays in line due to our budget restraints.
Right. They got step and column.
No, I understand they got
Okay.
step and column,
Right.
but if that equates to a percentage, does that override what's in the contract? That's what I want to make sure.
For what it's worth, the way the motion's written, Mr. Alvarado will get his step, which is set forth in the agreement. The administrators will get their step, And that may vary from administrator to administrator based on where they are and their experience and everything else. The point of the motion for purposes of equality and fairness is that each is being given their step, which is consistent with the way the contract's written.
Thank you for the clarification. I just want to make sure with the budget issues that we're having that we're
Yes.
very transparent with going forward with this.
Absolutely. I agree. All right, we would like to open it up for public comment at this time.
Adrian Sawyer for the record, parent of 3 DCSD students. Superintendent Alvarado has worked hard and earned his raise. I look forward to the new school year, and I'm confident that the superintendent and board will make every decision with the students' best interest at heart. My only question is the timing of the next raise, since the superintendent is being evaluated 2 times in the space of 6 months. I'm understanding that this raise will it be retroactive back to June 1st? And then he's getting another evaluation in December. Does he then have to wait until the following December for his next raise? I'm just curious the timing, because it doesn't seem fair to him to get evaluated twice in 6 months, but then have to wait from December to, will his next evaluation be, you know what I'm
I
saying?
get what you're saying.
I don't
and
know.
I'm
I don't-
glad you thought of that because
Yeah.
I did not.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It's not fair to make him wait from December. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Yep. Gotcha. Thank you. All right.
For the public's interest, the compensation increases in the contract are annual, which is tied to the anniversary of the contract. So it'll be July of next year as well. So once a year.
Okay. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Marty Swisher, Gardnerville resident. So just for clarification, well, first of all, I concur with Ms. Sawyer that whatever compensation you decide upon, Superintendent Alvarado has earned that. There's no question about that. In my view and in your view, clearly we agree on that. But here's my question or concern is that there's clearly a 3% increase that's guaranteed. I understand that, I believe. Is PERS covered as well in the contract? That would be one of my questions because I believe the administrators have to pay half their PERS in their contract, if I remember correctly. And then the big question, which I think Mrs. Miller was trying to get at, is if it's over 3% that the step is for administrators, let's say it's 4% instead of 3%. Mr. Alvarado would get 4% then based on the steps that the percentage of increase that the administrators get. Could be 5%. I don't know what it is. But so that's kind of the elephant in the room right now for me is what is the actual percentage going to be? And if you don't know that right now, if I were a board member, I'd want to know that. That'd be my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Alvarado?
I can answer that. I did some quick math for our site administrators. It's just over 2.3%. For our cabinet level administrators, it's just over 2.2%. And the board did set this step increase. That is not what I intended to negotiate. When I agreed to this contract, that is what the board had desired, just so everybody's aware.
Okay. Is there any further public comment? All right, any further discussion by the board?
What about the PERS for you? Is that covered as well under the contract?
Yes, that's so the step is set contractually at 3%. The addition is, as well as the other benefits that are provided to the administrative employees who did get their PERS covered. Yes.
You didn't say that on your mic. You turned it off. Oh. Mr. Burns.
But thank you. I know that, I did know that you had not received a increase back in July when everybody else did, but I just want to make a statement that my experiences with people in industry and everything and stuff, gives me the advantage, and I think Marcus is the same way because of business. You have to evaluate the person, and when you evaluate them, you have to see what's being produced, what's happening. What's happening in this school is fantastic. Finally, the grades are turning up, as we're seeing. We're going to get a report in September, I believe, on that. So this is what we need to do at this point because of the financial status of the school. And I know there's some things being worked on there, with the state. Mr. Alvarado, I've asked him, and he's given me some brief information that they're just working through. I give him some contacts up there. But if we don't take care, I'm just going to make this blank statement. If we don't take care of him, he didn't said anything about it. But if you don't take care of things that are changing, take care of that person that's leading it. And I know we can't do that right now. I understand that. But if we don't, would you expect him to stay? And if you don't expect him to stay, who do you have in mind to replace him and do what's happening right now? That's just thoughts to put out there. That's what we have to think about. So I wanted to throw that out there, but I do want to make a motion after this one pertaining to this.
Well, we have a motion on the floor.
Right.
Let me
As
hear
so-
what your other motion is and see if it's something that can be properly joined with the motion that's pending.
As an amendment. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. My motion is we reevaluate in December, like we have scheduled to do another evaluation. And at that point, if the things are still in the same realm that they are now, which I expect, I want to make a motion that we have a right to look at the numbers again, as far as the district goes, and to be able to give him more of a raise if we see if we could.
So let me answer this briefly and respectfully. I don't think you can make that motion right now because I think it would be off topic for the agenda item. The minutes will reflect your comments, and there's nothing that prohibits you or any other board member from requesting a future agenda item to open the agreement along with a December evaluation for that purpose. It just needs to be properly agendized, and it's not right now. So I think you were limited to the motion that is pending, which is to ratify the terms of the contract.
Good. Thank you for clarification, because I wasn't sure on it.
Sure.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Burns and a second by Ms. Jansen. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Miller?
So just my concern is we have teachers who obviously received a decrease in their base pay. We have teachers who've been here 5 years, almost 20 years, things like that. I just want to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible based on all of this information. If our site administrators are receiving a 2-point-something%, I mean, I'm happy to meet that. I want us to be fiscally responsible. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve it. He deserves his raise, and I know that. I'm looking at the bigger picture. That is our job, to be, making sure that our students, our staff is paid well, our superintendent is paid well, but at the end of the day, that our students are getting what they need as well.
I don't think we can delineate from his contract. So his contract requires a 3% step. We can't just on a whim decide that we're not going to do the 3% step, even if administrators and teachers are getting less, they have different contracts. And so if we're going to honor our contract in the same way that we expect Frankie to honor it as the worker, then we must honor the contract.
Correct. All right. Is there any further discussion? All right. All in favor of the motion on the floor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Oppose.
We have 6 yay and Ms. Miller is a nay. Motion passes. All right. Mr. Russell, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your input and expertise. Thank you. Have a good night.
President Wagstaff, can we move to the school leadership presentation? We do have a site administrator. It's a school night.
Yes, we can. Absolutely. I like that idea.
So
Ms. Carter.
Principal Amy Carter, if you could please step up, and IT, if you can get her presentation ready.
Thank you for your patience. You might get out of here earlier.
Yeah, it's all good. I love it.
It's number 5, leadership presentation. Yeah, she doesn't have anything attached to the agenda. All right. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for listening to my presentation today. My name is Amy Carter. I am the proud principal at Pavolou Middle School. This is my second year as principal. This year I have Jennifer Worthington as our vice principal, but she is with the DHS volleyball team on their way to Las Vegas right now for their tournament, so she cannot be with us. Our theme this year is B212, go the extra degree. Water is hot at 211, but it boils at 212. And so we are having this theme for our staff and our students and our families to go that extra degree to make a bigger impact in our students' lives this year. Today's presentation, you will be able to hear about our school's assessment, our data, our attendance data, and our specific school changes based on that data and our student needs. Our mission at Pavolou is to ensure that all students achieve excellence in education, character, citizenship in partnership with parents and our community. Our staff vision, which we created last year, and we discussed it the first 3 days back, and they wanted to stay with our vision for the school year, is at Pavolou, all learners will feel safe and supported while engaging in critical thinking, collaboration, and skill development. We welcome all students, families, and community members to share the joys of learning and come together to celebrate accomplishments and work through challenges. Every member of the Panther family members. And we have a student video that our yearbook students put together for our presentation today.
I'm Brian. I'm in 8th grade. I go to Pavolou, and Pavolou means People to Valley.
Hi, my name's Miranda. And my name's Kaylin. I'm in 8th grade. And I'm in 7th. This year, our new theme is B212. 211 is just warm and 212 is boiling. So we want to go the extra degree when we're learning at Pavolou. Hi, I'm Mackenzie and I'm in 8th grade. I'm Leah and I'm in 8th grade. This year, all of our students clearly understand our new tech policies. No phones out, no AirPods in, no smartwatches on. All of your devices are to be turned off in your backpacks all day. Hi, I'm Sophia. Hi, I'm Kayla. And we're both in 8th grade. I'm excited about all the new clubs and getting to try and experience new and different things. I'm excited for our new schedules, having shorter classes, and getting to meet all of the new teachers. And this year, we're going to go to extra degree. Hi, I'm in 8th grade. Hi, I'm Lucy, and I'm in 7th grade. And we're students at Pavolou Middle School. This year, we have a new schedule. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, we have all of our classes for shorter periods, starting with advisory. And on Wednesday, we have a block day where we only have our odd classes. And on Thursday, we have our even classes, which is also a block day. And we have advisory every day. This year, we're going to go the extra degree. My name's Riley.
And my name's Steven, and we're both in 8th grade.
Tutoring will no longer be after school. Instead, it will be during advisory on block days.
And replacing tutoring will be clubs that are held on Tuesdays by teachers.
Thank you for watching and listening to our video. And remember, be the extra degree. B212! Happy year!
Yay, they did such a great job. So those are our yearbook students, which Brandy Gardner leads out, and they have a top. Oh, hi, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. But they have a talk show that also these students do. And so they just do a fabulous job. So I appreciate that. The next slide, we're talking about some of our current status and achievements for the school year. And actually, I'm talking about last school year leading up to now since we just started. But we had some incredible achievements last year, including, I think one of the biggest was our attendance rate. For 23-24, our absenteeism rate was 21.4%, and last year it dropped to 7.23. It was really hovering around 6.5, but then that last week of school after 8th grade promotion and that last day we had to make up, we had a lot of students out that day. So it kind of raised a little bit that last week. But we really feel that one reason for that is that we really worked on building connections and relationships with our students so that they feel safe, they feel seen, they feel known and loved by our staff at Powaloo. And also we were really trying to build those connections through our events and our school-wide activities, including, like you saw, yearbook class. Another big achievement was our SBAC scores raised. And so you'll see on the next slide, on the left, you'll see our SBAC scores from 23-24. And then on the right, the 24-25. So for ELA, we went from 30 to 35.5% proficiency, which is great. And for math, that was our big goal last year. We went from 19.8 to 22.43. And then science dipped a smidge from 35 to 32. Yes, that's okay. In the next one is some cohort. You can look at the cohort grades. And so as you see the 24 for math, the 6th grade was at 20.1. But then if you go down to the next year, that 7th grade class would be those same group of students. They went up to 23.7 for math. And then if you look at 7th grade at 22.4 in 2024, they did dip down a little bit in 8th grade to 19.7. So those are just some of those cohort groups. The next one is ELA cohort scores. So this is a really great one. 6th grade was at 22.9. And then if you look at this past spring in 7th grade, it went to 46.6, which is amazing. So that was some really great gains in ELA for those students. And then the 7th grade was 27% and dipped a little bit to 22 in 8th grade. So we really need to connect with those 8th graders this year when they're doing this SBAC in the spring. And then just some numbers that we have on campus. This was last week. We currently had 422 enrolled at Powaloo. And then we have 126 6th graders, 155 7th, and 148th. And again, our attendance rate last year was 93.77, which we think is just fabulous for our middle school students. Some big things from last year in academic performances. This all is around kind of our MAP data that we had. We had 423 students from fall to spring at Powaloo that took the math MAP test. And of those 423, 231 met their projected growth target. So we really look at growth when we're discussing our MAP scores. And so that's 55% of our students made growth from fall to spring. And then just looking down, we broke it up by percentile groups. And so I know that's really small, I'm sorry. And so you'll see just that I think our targeted group that we're really looking at is that 20 to 40th percentile. We had in the spring about 114 students, and then in the next group, 91 students. So we still have work to do in those lower percentile groups, but we will be targeting that this year. Some of our strategic initiatives that we did last year, our big one, as you saw, we were at 19% proficiency for math. And so we really focused on that. We took the board intervention funds that you all provided for us to pay teams of teachers. We had 8 of us on the team that got together after school, and we created groups based on the math scores. So we had homogeneous groups based on where they fell in the fall. Those teachers then created roadmaps for everybody. We did this during our advisory time. So we had 2 50-minute sessions a week where all of our students were providing math interventions all of our teachers were providing math interventions for our students. And that included our counselors, that included our elective teachers, that included people who weren't teaching math, who had not taught math for a while. And so we gave those teachers not only the roadmap, but also lesson plans, materials. So because of those funds, we were able to prep all of that and make them feel ready to teach those math interventions. We did that twice. We did it from November to February. We recalibrated all of our students for that spring session from March to June, and we saw a lot of growth from that time, which was really great. And so if you look at the progress part, so from that first session, like I said, from November to February, we had 18 classes where students were really working on those maybe holes in their skills of multiplication. And so we had a lot of students working on multiplication facts, filling some of those holes, trying to just be ready with those skills to do the harder things on the harder questions on MAP and SBAC tests. And so from there, we also, because again, we were differentiating, we had classes that were at their RIT scores, and we had 2 classes that were working on Shark Tank presentations. So that was all around, they created a product, they figured out how to market and sell it. And so that was really great for those students who, again, were meeting their scores, had made those growth gains, and so they were able to work where they were at. Again, that bottom just shows that impact. We had 433 students that took both fall and winter MAP. And so 190, oh, so sorry, let me back up. 190 students were still working on multiplication and division review, but that was less than we had in that first session. There was 59% of our students in that first session, and it was only 44% of our students in that second session. We again had those Shark Tank classes, but this time it was with 6th graders who had met their benchmark. And so they were able to have those extensions on their math and really be able to create presentations around that. Next is more about our tutoring and our win time. So this is for this year. So what we found, and you heard in this video, we had 2 tutoring times after school on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It was after school for 40 minutes, and it was dependent on if the students wanted to stay or not. And so we really found that the students we needed to stay were not always the students that would stay after school. And so what we decided to do was, instead of having tutoring after school, we are building it in that win time like we talked about. So last year we had the 2 advisory times. We still have that again this year. And so we are going to build that in, where one day is an intervention day where they're working on those interventions, and that might be in reading, that might be in math. And then the second day is a day for them to work on completing homework assignments, reassessing. And so they are able to go to the teachers that they need to go to and get that specific help within the classroom as well. So we are really hoping that that meets the needs for all students, not just the ones who decide to stay after school. Next, another one of our initiatives this year is we are working on some close reading strategies. This came about because our math teachers throughout the district have been working on the 3 reads, working in the 3 reads, which is one of the mathematical practices and routines. And so they had been working on that, and they had some really great growth with their math, like we talked about. And so we wanted something to bring together our PLCs. Again, we have become a smaller school, so we will have 1 teacher of math in 6th grade, 1 teacher in math in 7th grade. I think we have 2 in 8th grade right now. We have 4 math teachers. And so something to bring them together were these conversations around their 3 reads routines, because they were all doing this practice within their classroom. So we're looking to do the same thing around reading, because as we have seen in some of these questions, that the sample questions for SBAC, much of it is reading questions, whether it's math, whether it's science, they still have to read a lot. And so we're looking at close reading practices. We've had training already from Leslie Peters. We had a book club last spring called Shifting the Balance. And even though it is a Shifting the Balance for 3rd through 5th grade, a lot of our students with those holes in their learning can really benefit from some of those strategies that our teachers were learning how to do by participating in that book club. And so we are working towards just having those professional conversations around student achievement around the 3 reads and how they're doing, and having that ability to just connect in that matter. And so that's why we're looking towards having close reading and the 3 reads as one of our strategic initiatives this year. I'm going to keep on going to the next one. So upcoming goals and priorities. All of these goals are around our continuous improvement plan for this year. So the first goal is around our student success, and this was our big goal for the year, is to have 100% of our Paolu students show measurable growth in reading proficiency as evidenced by the MAP scores. So again, that is hopefully they're meeting their target growth scores that they each will be given. The second goal is for our staff. This is around that adult learning culture. And we want 100% of our certified staff to be trained in the 3 reads or close reads strategies to do during their tier 1 instruction. And tier 1 is just the whole class. That's what tier 1 is. And then finally, our third goal is we want our students to be connected in a club, event, a sport, or other Paolu extracurricular activity. And we feel, again, that if they are connected in those things, that our attendance will continue to improve. The next slide is just a little bit more specific. So this is about that student success goal. We have already reviewed, and I was analyzing spring MAP and SBAC scores last night, just to kind of assess where our students are at and create those targeted interventions for additional support during that, again, that tutoring time during the day. We're going to focus on this from the beginning of August 18th, first day of school the other day, all the way through June, and continue to analyze that data of those MAP scores. And hopefully that will improve our SBAC scores in the spring. The next one was that adult learning culture. And so, like I said, our certified staff are going to be trained in the 3 reads and in close reading strategies for our tier 1 instruction. They're going to have those stronger PLC conversations focusing on tier 1 instruction because we want that common language across all they do. And then the action plan. So we had PD training last spring with Leslie Peters, and we're going to continue to do that throughout this year. We're going to have common PLC note takers to implement for student tracking purposes to track how their students are doing in their progress. And then we are going to have some training from PDC and RPDP around reciprocal teaching practices and other instructional strategies. And this will be all year. And then finally, those connections, our third goal, like I said, we want every single one of our Paolu students to feel connected in a club or an event or a sport. And so as you heard the students, we've already been discussing how our staff can be 212 and they can take those connections a step further. So our staff are already greeting kids at the door, but how can you really take it that next step? How can you connect with students and go to their sporting events or stay after school for an event that we have where they might not have before? We have daily advisory. This has not been part of the practice for a while. And so we have advisory every day. And in that class, those teachers are able to build better relationships with their students. And then finally, we are scheduling connection points. So we really want monthly events for our students. We use PBIS rewards. And so students have PBIS events that they can purchase. We have school dances. We have leadership sponsored spirit weeks. We have a Paua Luau coming up in September. And so all of these are ways to partner with our students and our families. And then finally, we just received this year our PAYS Lab. The grant was funded for that, which we're really excited about. And so we're going to have students that are working in the PAYS Lab. And then some challenges to all of these amazing big goals and dreams that we all have at Paolu is that just getting training for our staff who are not, they don't specialize in those reading strategies. I was in elementary for over 20 years, and so everybody is a reading teacher. But when you come to secondary, you have teachers who have taught math for a really long time and maybe don't know about reading strategies. And so we are trying to give that PD and trying to equip our teachers to provide those strategies in their classrooms. And then, so again, we're just proposing the solution is just to train staff and make sure that we have those partnerships with our PDC department here and our PDP in the state for that. And then another challenge is just the varying parent involvement. So we do want families to be involved at Paolu. However, we know that that is not always the case for everyone. We have some really involved families and some that aren't there as often for their kids and at those after school activities. But we're going to continue to find ways to communicate. I have been using Parent Square a lot and love it. We had a huge turnout for our 6th grade orientation. We did that RSVP feature where families could RSVP that they were going to be there, and that was a huge success. We are also, I get all the feed from everyone. So I see that our teachers are already using that to communicate with their families, and I really appreciate that as well. And then finally, our weekly newsletter. So I do a weekly newsletter. I don't know if you can click on that. There's a link there, maybe. And so the first one this week, if you can scroll down just a little bit, is right there. If you want to, oops, up a little bit. There we go. And so each week I put things like this out to families. This was last week. So it just talked about our new theme, ways to help their kid be successful this year. You can keep scrolling there, Jesse. Thank you. Getting a good homework routine. Then it has more about the student handbook. And if you just click, you don't have to click on the button there, but if you want, all of those are live buttons. So I use Final Site, which is what Haley uses for the district website or the district newsletter as well. And I use that same thing. And then I put the transportation bus slip, transportation website, so families can look at that. Our nurse gave me some information, so I put in the medication forms to give to the nurse or direct email to the nurse if you have questions. More on Parent Square. And then if you scroll down just a little bit, I give them like the next 2 weeks kind of upcoming what's happening at Powaloo. I love Final Site because you can look at all your metrics. And last year I had an average of 60% families click on that and read the weekly newsletter, which I felt was pretty successful to have 60%. I do one for staff as well. So I do one each week for staff and for families. And I feel like even if they don't read it all the time, they know they can go back to it and say, okay, wait, what was the spirit day we have to dress up as next week? Like you can still go back and look. So and then finally, a couple other things, other challenges. This is for that initiative 3, just about getting students connected. Not all students are involved in school. We can probably all think about that kid who came to school and was just kind of there at school, right? Didn't love school, didn't want to be there, but they were there. So we want to see how do we connect with those students who are maybe struggling in school or have maybe limited access to funds, transportation to some of our after school events. And so we're just proposing putting out surveys to students to know how they feel and make sure that we're reaching all of those subpopulations in our school and really meeting and matching their needs and their hopes for after school activities and events. And then the last slide that is in here is just requests from you as trustees. So I just would love for you, and I know many of you have been to Powaloo, I would love for you to come to meet our staff or our students. If you have a business or connections with the business, we would love to partner you. That's one of my goals for just myself personally is to connect with our community. We already have a church who has talked about partnering with us for our angel tree this winter, which is really great. We also just talked with a construction company who is willing to get us some things for our drama backdrops and sets. So we're trying to just make some of those connections to provide more things for our students. And then just financial help through business partners or other means in order to allow our students who can't financially participate to be able to become more connected to our community. So yes. Oh, raising your hand. Yes.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that great presentation, Mrs.
Thank
Christen.
you.
I would love to contribute to the drama department.
Oh,
I
okay.
have costumes, I have
Oh,
vintage stuff.
that is
I would
great.
love, I've got wigs, I have jewelry, I
Okay.
have so much stuff.
Okay.
So I would love to get with you, tell me what your needs are, and I'll make sure that
I
I
will
do my
email you
best.
tomorrow and I will CC our drama teacher on it and I'll make that connection because that's great. That makes me happy. She's very excited and she is our drama and music teacher. So she's looking to combine those and she's really excited to take that on this year. So I love that you said that because she's already talked about costumes. Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Dickerson.
Awesome. Are there any further questions, Ms. Miller?
So I had a question in regards to your goal 1. You talked about measurable growth. What do you consider your measurable growth?
Well, so that's a hard one. We've had that discussion many times. So each student has a projected growth score, like they project it. And some of them are varying depending on the grade level. Some are like static, like everybody has to make 10 points growth. And so to us, we're looking for just growth for our students. We would like them to hit their projected growth score, their RIT score, but we want growth because we do know that some students, if they are low and they still are making growth, they're making growth, and we want them to continue to do that. But yes, we have had that discussion many times. What does that look like? So thank you for asking.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
As a former middle school teacher, I want to
Mhm.
congratulate you on keeping the phones, the watches, and the earbuds away from kids. It's so distracting. I
Mhm.
just hated it. And I
Mhm.
think it's so great that you're doing that. So
Yes.
kudos to you.
Thank you. And our staff appreciate it, like everybody. And so we're just trying to make that very clear to families as well, so they know.
That's great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Oh, Mr. Burns? Mr. Zinke?
Hi there.
Hi.
So I have a few questions for you. First off, congratulations. It's the great presentation and it looks like you're being very successful so far. So I love seeing that.
Thank you.
And I like how thorough you were. You gave us numbers and facts and that's what I find important. So with that,
Okay.
you had the correlation between the grades and you clearly understand that sixth grade is what becomes the seventh grade. And you had that incredible leap with the English learners. Do you also consider the fifth graders for that sixth grade year in order as a comparable score? And if you do you reach out to some of these fifth grade teachers too? I know it's different schools, but
Mhm.
and that's maybe more of a Frankie thing, but is that something that you've looked into?
Yes, so we have their we already have their SBAC scores. So they actually sent it to us, which was really lovely. Last year I asked for it from Jessica, but this year the teachers just sent it over because they received those scores. And so we have that data. So Frankie gave me some great suggestions when we talked the other day about a data wall. And so Miss Worthington and I have already started. We've already
Slow down, Mrs.
I know.
Carter.
But we already we have, I like data a lot. So we have SBAC and MAP sorted from last spring already. And so we're going to talk with our teachers about that at our first PLC meeting. And we do have their SBAC scores. I don't have their MAP scores yet, but we have had those conversations about every student that's on campus currently, which would have been last year's fifth graders, and getting their data.
Okay.
So yeah.
And then what are your what's the rationale behind the change in the class schedule, having some
thank
of
you for asking.
the all days? I think Carson
Yes.
Valley Middle School has a similar or
Yeah.
did have one.
So let me tell you what we used to have. We used to have a rotating block schedule. So it was a block every day, similar to the high school, but the high school has an A day and a B day. We had first, second, third advisory, fourth, fifth, sixth, one, second, third, fourth, fifth, six, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 advisory. It was difficult last year for me to learn, and it's difficult for sixth graders, and there wasn't a lot of consistency. And I understand the reasoning behind it is because you see a different group of kids in the morning. You're not seeing the same kids every morning, right? And so I did understand it, but there were some difficulties in it. One of the biggest things we saw is they were 85-minute blocks all the time, every day. And so it was very long for our students. And so they would go to the bathroom a lot. We would have breaks in the middle of them. And so I surveyed our staff. We surveyed them last year. We had to know this by December. So last fall, surveyed staff, got their feedback. I gave them possible schedule scenarios, 3 different ones. They voted. So they had a lot of feedback in what we were doing. And so we went to this modified block, which is similar to CVMS. But the one thing they felt we needed were those advisory days to have a Monday morning meeting to set goals. So that's what students are doing on Mondays. They're setting goals. They're having some reading time. They are reflecting on their goals on Friday. And so in just the first 4 days, hardly any bathroom in 51 minutes. You're in there working hard. And a lot of the teachers who have been on staff have said, I love the shorter days. We had a block day yesterday and today, and you can tell kids get tired by that second half. And so that was really one of the biggest reasons was, let's get in, let's work hard for 51 minutes, let's rotate. It poses some problems for foods and for science, who liked those bigger periods, longer periods to do more cooking or more labs, but they do have those. And we have had at Powaloo a schedule like this previously. So our foods teacher said, I've done it before. I can do this. We'll be all right. And so that's why we changed the schedule. It also helps our students with consistency. Students that have a hard time remembering and keeping track, that rotating block schedule was really hard. This also helps with any check-in, check-out, beginning of the day check-in with students and check out at the end of the day. It's a consistent person on most days. And so that helps with that. We actually have a student who's going to the high school for some classes right now. And so this worked with his schedule to be able to go there for that first and second block. And he comes right to us because they're on the block period. So he goes for first and he comes to us at the end of second. And so that really worked well for him. And I think IT likes it a lot that Infinite Campus matches up a little bit better and we don't have this wonky schedule. So it was great for the reasons they created it, but we've noticed in our students, this is working really well this week so far.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Last one. Thank you
Okay.
for elaborating that.
Yeah.
Great. You have moved tutoring to the early period or the advisory period.
Mhm.
Great idea. And because kids can't come after school, and sometimes that's not even the kid's fault. A lot of times that's the
Mhm.
parents' fault. With your wildly important goal, or one of them, of the 100% club slash
Mhm.
athletics slash, have you considered, or is there ability to make a club during school hours? I know that that might interfere, but maybe advisory can be a portion of a club or something in that regard in order to help
Mhm.
facilitate that 100% goal.
Mhm.
Again, just because of parent schedules, maybe more so than
Mhm.
the kids, but
True. And I'm not sure about that. We might talk about that. We haven't talked about that yet, so that's a good idea. Last year we did try to do clubs at lunchtime with some teachers, and we had a handful of teachers who wanted to do it. It was totally optional, but it's just hard to find that time in the day. But it could be during that win time. So we just haven't talked about that yet. So I will bring that up to them because we're still trying to iron out the kinks with what that looks like and how we would rotate our students in that time. So that's a great question. Thank you for saying that.
I don't really have a question, but I
Okay.
will give you some information.
Mhm.
A couple talking to Monday, and I said, "What school is the children in?" And they said, "Well, we just took and switched them from private school, and they're in Pawalu.
Mm.
And the one is a 7th grader,
Mhm.
and he says she loves it.
Oh, good.
And he must have met you because they were impressed with you."
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. It's very nice.
I had a question about the tutoring. Before kids chose what classes they were going to tutoring for, with this tutoring, with it in school, do they choose which classes they go to, or are they assigned to a class to go to?
Great question. So we haven't started. We have one more week to nail this down. We're kind of kicking around, like I said, that first day being those interventions or like, hey, these kids need these kind of skills. And so we're having discussions around that right now. So I'm not totally sure on that yet. The second day is students having to finish work or reassess. We talked about maybe we have a form where a teacher says, I need these 15 kids because maybe they were absent or maybe they have to reassess. Maybe they didn't score well or didn't understand something. So we were talking about a form with all of our students to then a teacher could pull which students they wanted. We've also talked about, do we do 4 weeks of math and then we change and we do 4 weeks of reading? So we have a few ideas. We have to finalize this next week because tutoring will start the week after. So we are talking about that and trying to finalize that with our team. So thank you.
Just a question.
Yeah.
So during advisory, some kids need help with this, some need help with that. What about the kids that are always done with their work and are very advanced? Is there an enrichment for them?
And I
too?
almost think that might be where Mr. Zinke was talking about, like, hey, these kids have it all together. What are
Right.
things that they can do? And so there might be some of those club things or
Enrichment
yeah,
of some
enrichment activities of some sort. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great presentation, very thorough.
Thank you. Thank you.
You had I just have a question for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned that
they're checking in at the beginning of the day. They're checking in. Are they having advisory twice a day?
No, I was just meaning, so sometimes, so tier one is all of our students, and then students who maybe because of behaviors, maybe they need that tier two kind of intervention in a way, which sometimes that becomes you have a check-in, check-out person. They might be earning points throughout the day. And so having that consistency that we have now in our schedule, they might check in with, say, or let's say their math teacher, Miss Jarris. They check in with her in the morning and then they check in with her at the end of the day. But having that rotating block, they would sometimes be out in the band room and forget to go. And so it just helps with consistency if they were to have a check-in, check-out type person. We only have Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. We have a 25-minute advisory in the mornings. So it's first thing in the morning. And then on our block days, it's in the middle. So it's opposite lunch in that middle. We have that 70 minutes in there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So advisory on Wednesday
and Thursday
is
is
70 minutes?
Yep, because those are our block days.
Okay.
Those are our block days. And so on Wednesday, the same as what CVMS is, we go 1-3 advisory 5.
Okay.
And on Thursday, it's 2-4 advisory 6.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
So they're
right.
longer in the middle. And so that way we could have that time to have those interventions and that work time, tutoring time.
All right. Great. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I hope it
I hope it
continues
helps
to
too.
well.
Yes, I know. We'll see.
So fingers crossed,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so
and
much for
and
coming
letting
and
me do that.
doing such a great presentation. And
Okay.
happy Friday tomorrow.
Oh, yes. Thank you. First week down, almost. Thank you. Thank you.
Great job, Mrs. Carter. Yep.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we'll go to agenda item number 6, which is our technology acceptance use policy. And first off, we'd like to turn it over to Mr. Alvarado to introduce our new director of IT.
Thank you, President Wagstaff. So the district had the privilege of attracting, recruiting, and hiring Mr. Jared Rex. Jared Rex is coming to us from the state of Ohio. As he comes up to the table here, he will give a brief bio before jumping into the technology acceptable use policy.
So, hey, I try to keep it really simple. My name's Jared, and about 3 weeks ago tomorrow, I wandered from Ohio here with my wife and then our granddaughter, who's part of our household. And I just want to tell you that it's been a tremendous experience. You mentioned the haircut. I need a recommendation for a barber. That was one of the things that I'm missing. You know how it is. I'm the only thing I really miss from Ohio is a barber. So maybe if somebody wants to give me that pro tip later tonight, I'd appreciate that because I could use a haircut. But you know what? For a good haircut, I would. Okay. Alrighty, but once again, so it's a privilege to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to join you in Douglas County. Superintendent Alvarado mentioned to give a personal introduction. And I just want to say, Douglas County has just been a tremendous experience. My wife and granddaughter have just immensely enjoyed it, from the community center to the pool to we have this sheepadoodle, so we're big into dog parks. I'm just going to tell you the dog parks in Douglas County knock it literally out of the park. And then we wander over to the lake to the dog beaches. So our granddaughter and our sheepadoodle love that a lot. So that part has been tremendous. Granddaughter is also a 6th grader at CVMS. And as a personal note, that has been an amazing experience. Obviously, as a parent, there's a little bit of trepidation of, boy, this is a brand new school. It's got a redwood roof, and what's going to go on inside? And I attended open house with her, and that was tremendous. And now we're day 4 of school, and I got the alert on my phone that her first grades posted, and they were hundreds and A's. And so anyways, like you said, it's just been a great transition. But anyways, as you get to know me better, I could fill up a lot of time. But I won't tonight because we've got a lot of things going on. Our superintendent asked me to talk briefly about, or I'm sorry, by means of introduction, So I've hung out at 4 schools over about 20 years. Part of my career, I was a school finance or CFO, and that was kind of the early part. About 14, 15 years ago, I pivoted into school tech, and that's where I plan to spend the rest of my career. Why school tech? What I really love about it, I grew up in a household with a mother that was an elementary principal and a father that was a college dean. But I love taking care of students and teachers. The reason that we came here from Ohio, um, no offense, it wasn't for Douglas County. It was the opportunity to take care of students and teachers here in our school district. And that's what inspires me. That's what they talk about. Well, if you find a job that doesn't feel like a job, but that's the thing that you want to do. And that's how school tech is for me. I just love getting up every day. My goals, I appreciate it. I think she slipped out our principal's presentation because for me, I'm big about 100% or 110%. I feel like my goal when it comes to technology is that this stuff works 100% of the time. Because if I'm a first grade teacher and I've got 26 little ones staring back with me with their Chromebooks trying to do a lesson, and just one of those fails, how many minutes of instruction have we lost with that whole group? So our goal is that the technology works really well, works 100% of the time. When it doesn't work, that we have systems in place that help with that. And that's really, really critical to me. And so we've set really high goals. The other part of that too for me is customer service. I don't have a traditional tech background. And part of how I got into school tech in the first place was the frustration with the tech people telling me something couldn't happen. So for me, my goal is really customer service focused. It's not about Jared. It's not about our tech team. It's about what's doing best for our staff and our students. So anyways, that's kind of me in a nutshell. But as we shift to the agenda item tonight, and I'm not sure, you hear this, the technology acceptable use agreements, hear that statement in your board agenda, there's 7, 8, 9 pages of information. I'll be honest, if you're like me, you probably checked out, or I would have checked out on page 2 because it's like, there's a lot going on here. So I want to give you just a really brief summary. Why do we do those? So in schools, public schools, and I'm going to slip some glasses on, but in public schools, it's really critical that we have technology acceptable use agreements. They establish clear expectations and guidelines for safe, ethical, and effective use of technology. They protect the school, they protect our users, our students, and our staff from the many risks that are associated with using technology. 2 agreements that are on the agenda for your review tonight. First one relates to students. So why do we have a student agreement? So it's essential for fostering responsible digital citizenship in the climate, the age, the culture that we're in. With very few exceptions, you cannot function without the ability to know how to utilize technology. So it provides a framework. It teaches our students how to use technology appropriately and safely. So this includes along the lines of safety, guidelines to avoid online dangers. Obviously, we're familiar with the phrase cyberbullying, online predators, phishing scams. Our district someone made a phishing attempt just yesterday here at the district. Privacy is critical, teaching our students not to share personal information, how to be responsible. As a parent of a 12-year-old, and I apologize in my introduction, I've got 6 grown children, 7 grandchildren. But man, with that 12-year-old in the house and her phone, what she has the ability to do, I mean, she can literally be right there in the back seat of the car and we're driving somewhere and she could be at risk. I mean, it's for lack of a better word, it's insane the risk that our students are under now. So if we have the opportunity at school to teach digital citizenship, to give them those tools to be equipped when they're outside of our school building, that's going to be a win for us. Academic integrity. Let's be honest, AI is huge. I've got a son that just recently finished an MBA, and as he shared with me his stories of rolling through college and stuff, I'm thinking, man, I wish when I was in school that they had AI. It would have been a little bit easier on some of those late night assignments. But obviously, when it comes to AI, we've got a responsibility to teach our kids. Respectful conduct, online conduct, and how we present ourselves is huge. So our acceptable use agreement helps our students to understand that school technology is a privilege, it's not a right, and that their actions have consequences, and that's part of life. There's a second document, it's our staff acceptable use policy. So for that, for our teachers, those agreements are vital because they're going to establish professional boundaries. They're going to provide legal protection to our staff. They're going to ensure that our educators use technology in a manner that supports student learning, aligns with our district policies. Some of the highlights of why we do this is professionalism. The acceptable use agreement sets standards for professional conduct, such as using appropriate language in digital communications and maintaining confidentiality of student information. Legal compliance. You've probably heard in the school environment, you've heard the acronyms SIPA and FERPA. And I could give a 2-hour presentation about those. I'll give you a 60-second or maybe a 45-second synopsis. But SIPA are federal requirements that apply to so much that we do with schools for internet filtering. So when our students are on our campus, or even connecting maybe to a guest network on our campus, or if they're at home with our school device that we've provided, frankly, even logged in with a school account on a home device, we have responsibilities to provide internet filtering to protect them from those online predators. So we work really hard to do that, or it's a requirement for us. FERPA then is the second piece that you'll see that language in these agreements. FERPA really simply just refers to the protection of student information and student data, protects the rights of parents to have access to it, also puts responsibilities on us as a school district to make sure that we do our due diligence to make sure that that student information is safe. And so that's important for us. The acceptable use agreement also for our teachers and our staff establishes clarity on roles, clarifies what our teachers are and are not permitted to do with school technology, such as prohibiting downloading like certain software or accessing certain sites on our school resources, using our school technology for personal gain. That's all part of our policies. And then I mentioned liability. In short, a well-defined acceptable use agreement is going to serve as a foundational document that protects our students, our teachers, and our district, clearly outlines the rules of engagement in a digital world, and it promotes safe and productive learning environments for everyone. And I kind of circle back to my introduction, why I'm here, what motivates me every day is doing the absolute best that we can for our students and our teachers and our family here at Douglas County Schools. So that's all I got for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Are you up for some questions?
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right. Mr. Zinke?
First off, welcome. In this policy, and this might not be the appropriate measure, but I know a lot of the Chromebooks have a timer for when they're available to use, and it goes off at 10 o'clock. At least my daughter's was going off at 10 o'clock. I understand some of the rationale behind that. Is that, and you might not know this, is that district-wide, or could it be on a per child basis, or is there something we can do there? Because I'll tell you, when my kids are trying to get work done and it's late at night and that thing shuts off, it'll ruin their night pretty quickly because they're trying to get a good grade. They're not playing games and doing that, which might be the reason for it. But is that part of this that could go on here as an acceptable use or a timing, or is that just at a per school basis?
So that's a great question. I'll be honest, 3 weeks tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm not up to speed on the context of maybe why that decision was made. One of the things though that I shared earlier is my focus is customer service. So I appreciate that comment. I'll circle back, do some research, understand what's going on there. But what's really neat about the technology that we do have here at Douglas County is that we do have the ability to fine tune how we deliver technology. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure, and that's obviously over the course of this year, there'll be some things that we tweak and adjust, and it's based on our feedback from our parents, our students, and our staff. So that's a good one, and I can understand the frustration that they would feel. Because yeah, I've been there before too.
Thank you. Yeah, Frank.
Mr. Zinke, Jesse Bates can provide us some more clarity and some background and history regarding that setting.
Hi there. Okay, this is working for now. So we have line-wise rules that turn the internet off on the Chromebooks assigned to the different tiers of school. So elementary, I believe, turns off at 9 o'clock, middle school's at 10, and high school's at midnight. Right now it is by that tier. So 6th, 7th, and 8th is 10, elementary, etc. It's not easy to do it on a case by case basis. It is possible, but it's not manageable in mass. So right now we do have those times. They can be adjusted. There's no real direction, I don't think, that we have officially that tells us we can't have these times or can adjust them on the fly. But we checked with Ed Services last year because we realized they weren't enforced, and we went ahead and enforced them to try to negate some of the nefarious activities happening after hours.
Thank you. So, Frankie, is that something that this encompasses, or is that a completely different subject?
That's separate from this policy.
Okay.
Yeah, this policy just provides protections for students.
Okay. Thank you.
So I had a question. When students travel, obviously internet, they're still wanting to do their schoolwork. For instance, I've traveled twice to a cheer national in Florida, and we were traveling with fourth, fifth, and sixth graders, and we weren't able to access the hotel internet for our children to continue their schoolwork because the Chromebooks weren't recognizing that internet. And I understand, I have my own business and I don't use hotel internet because I don't trust it. So us chaperones were turning our phones into a hotspot, and it was very slow for these children to do their schoolwork because we had dedicated time so that they wouldn't miss their studies. So I'm not sure if then that would be under this acceptable use policy, but it did talk about internet. Like when you do have a student traveling, if there's a way to allow them to be able to hook up to an external internet rather than just their home or district.
Sure. So that's a great question. I appreciate that. Once again, that kind of sits separate from this acceptable use agreement. To me, that's going to fall under a customer service perspective. And certainly, once again, 3 weeks here, but in a past life, one of the things that I'm really, really big about is remote ready. A lot of my professional career, go back far enough a few years ago, but if you back in the day using a laptop, driving down a neighborhood, just trying to find Wi-Fi to connect into the office, those type of challenges. So I've done a lot of remote work in the past in schools, and certainly COVID was a reminder of the importance to be remote ready. So one of my goals coming in as our director of technology is to position our staff and our students. Hopefully it doesn't ever happen, but if we have a COVID type event or an event where our superintendent makes a decision that people need to work remotely, that we're equipped and we're able to do that. And so that's going to probably require some tweaking, maybe, or rethinking of some of our existing practices. And those are really aren't part of this acceptable use agreement. To me, they're just kind of common sense things that'll fall under that remote ready concept that I push. What I found also, and actually this came up today on another issue, in the absence of not having the ability to do something in a structured way, people are going to find a way around it anyway. So as you mentioned, so like I said, for us, our goal is that we want to make sure that if there's a challenge where someone needs to work remotely, that's just second nature. My last district, we actually, obviously you're familiar with like fire drills and those types of things. We even had like tech remote ready drills where we would say, hey, we're leaving school at noon today. Teachers, staff, let's be honest, in school, the payroll department, most important people, are you testing out your ability to work remotely and do your job so we don't have a break in the continuity of services? But I appreciate that comment. I made a note and we'll follow up.
So in reference to the times that allotted 9, 10, midnight, I mean, it sounds like for a special situation like Mr. Zinke that there can be concessions to that, but do we really want our children up at all hours of the night when they've got to go to school the next day? I mean, there's something to be said about that as well. I think that's reasonable, but I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
And to clarify, I was speaking from our technical ability to make adjustments and tweak that, but I'll look to our superintendent for direction about any changes in times and those kind of things.
It just seems absolutely reasonable. I mean, come on, elementary, 9 o'clock, pretty reasonable. 10 o'clock, middle. Yeah.
Well, all I know is this, is CVMS wore out my granddaughter because she went from 11 o'clock going to bed a week ago to 9:15 last night, and she was requesting that. So So I didn't have to worry about the phone use at late at night.
Yeah.
She was sound asleep.
Ms. Miller? Oh,
To add more information for the board, Mr. Rex is going to be doing a survey of staff for technology. We could also do a survey of parents and solicit their feedback on what they
Good idea.
believe the turn-off time should be.
yeah. I think that's a great idea, get parent input on that.
Like, that's huge.
Ms. Miller, did you have something to say?
As a student who does sports, we sometimes don't get home until 8:30 at night. So then they're doing their homework afterwards. I have 2 high schoolers. So when that shuts off at 10 o'clock and they're working on 5 classes, the 10 o'clock deadline, it gets a little bit tough to make.
That's it hasn't
Yeah,
been.
high school's midnight.
High school, I thought, okay,
Middle school is 10 o'clock.
okay.
Yeah, and then elementary, 9 o'clock.
But again, like when we have kids, when we're expecting them to do sports and they're doing extracurricular activities, and then we shut off their computer in the middle of them working on a project. I know I've had that where my computer all of a sudden restarts. It's it causes a lot of stress. And I want to be able to give our students the opportunity so that way, never mind then.
The meltdowns don't happen.
Yeah, but
No,
that's,
agreed.
that's where special, having those special, if you
Um,
have a child in sports, then you can make those concessions. I mean, that's reasonable.
Okay, so I think we need to pull this back to our acceptable use agreement. Ms. Knighting?
So I'm looking at the staff, number 2, it says that, DCSD has the right to review material on laptops. Is that something that happens? Are the laptops continuously screened for stuff on them? Or is that just that they could happen? I mean, is this something
So-
that is going on that we are screening?
So something that's really critical in a school environment where we're dealing with our staff that are working with our students, we want to have the resources and the capabilities to access that as needed. So I'm not going to share all the, but we certainly have those capabilities and are able to access them as needed. But that's a good question. I appreciate it.
Mr. Burns?
A few of us were around when we had an issue with our past head of tech before you got here. And we had one kid, you remember this, one kid found a way to do something different outside of the
He hacked
computer.
the system.
And it wound up hacked into it and wound up giving it to 29 kids before he could figure out where it was coming from. So I understand what you're saying.
I have a question. I know that in IC, I just filled out last week all the Chrome permission and all that stuff for my kids. Is this something that replaces that? Do you know?
So.
Or maybe that's a question for Frankie.
Well, I'll maybe fill in anything that.
This will replace it. We still have to figure out logistics to get this out to parents and get consent from them.
Okay.
We're not sure if we're going to do it digitally through Parent Square or send a paper copy home. Jared
Okay.
and I will meet about that or probably tomorrow and then develop a plan,
Okay.
communicate it to our leaders, and then that'll trickle down
Okay.
to teachers.
And this is only the first reading, so obviously next month it'll come back for a second reading, and then it would go to our families, correct?
Correct. On revisions, it doesn't have to come for a second reading. We've been doing that for some policies for
Okay.
public transparency. We can actually implement this right away.
Okay, well, we can't pass it because it's only information or discussion.
Yeah.
Um,
Correct. This is an operational item. It's not
Okay.
a board policy.
oh, well, yeah, right, because it says acceptable use policy, I thought. Okay,
Correct.
I gotcha. All right, well, I like the improvements that it's a lot more detailed than what we currently have had. And so I'm pleased with the direction that you're taking this and I appreciate it as a parent. So thank you. Oh, yes.
One quick question. Ohio or Michigan?
Oh, God. OH.
I'll let you get away with that. But you're setting with Michigan and Michigan.
So my wife is
Boise State, I'm telling you.
my wife's a fanatical Ohio State fan. Proudly wears her Ohio State stuff every day in Douglas County. But you know what? People are really kind.
Yes. Oh, all right. Is there any further discussion or questions from the board? All right. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you, Jared. We appreciate you coming and presenting. Yes, at this time, we are going to go to agenda item number 7 for closed session. And we'll return when that's over. Thank you. Back.
In progress.
Thank you. So sorry. We are back from closed session. We had a brief update on where we are at with negotiations. So that's what we discussed. At this time, we will move to agenda item number 8, and I will turn it over to Mr. Alvarado.
Thank you, President Wagstaff. So it's important in our DCSD shout outs to acknowledge the hard work of our employees as we prepare for a school year. Schools don't open themselves. You know, there is no AI to say, create a clean school, prepare master schedules, get kids into rosters, and do those deep cleaning and maintenance activities. It would be nice if we had humanoids to do that, but we don't. So I want to acknowledge the hard work through this DCSD shout out items, our facilities, our maintenance and our IT personnel, as well as our office staff, our leaders, that's our principals, vice principals, our cabinet members. They work very hard over summertime. Secretaries as well. I can't name every position, but everybody that works over summertime, our 260-day employees, they work so hard to prepare our facilities, to prepare schedules, to prepare our kids to have a successful year. And given the situation that we had with the district office closure, we had some slight delays in our plans to prepare, but it did not hinder our opening. Our first day of school kicked off with success. It was really exciting to see the smiles on kids' faces, in our teachers' faces, and our leaders' faces, and on our parents' faces. But all of that could not happen without all of our employees preparing to open the school year. So thank you to everybody for all of your hard work, for everything you do day in and day out for Douglas County School District, and going above and beyond the call of duty. So we really appreciate you. You deserve the shout out. And trustees, if there's anything that you want to share in regards to this shout out for these employees, I encourage you to do so.
Does anybody have anything they want to add?
I just second that a ton. And even our janitors who, you know, I actually had one as a neighbor once, and they do quite a bit too, and it's constant throughout the year. So kudos to everybody that works so hard just to get everything off the ground. Absolutely.
Mr. Zinke?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, my daughter is now attending high school. She's a freshman, and I've never seen someone come, any of my kids, that there's 2, so I didn't mean to say any, like there's a bunch of them. Of my 2 kids, my older one always loved school, loved being there, always excited. My younger one never really has, and she was extremely excited, loved her first couple days, and that's a testament to all the behind the scenes stuff that the teachers and staff and everyone has done. So kudos to all of them, because if you can make someone, I promise, like my daughter, be excited to go to school, you've accomplished a tremendous amount. So.
Ms. Miller?
Definitely our admin, our facilities. My middle one just started 6th grade, so she moved from a school she's known for 6 years to a new school with her siblings, and she was excited and exhausted after the first day of school, which is awesome for that new 6th grader to experience that this is the school that she's going to be at for the next 6 years, and she's excited to be there.
Awesome. Ms. Knighting?
I was just going to say, I had the opportunity to go out to some of the schools on the first day, and there was, as far as facilities, everything was just so clean, so nice, and the people were so excited, and it was a great day, and they did a great job.
My daughter's at CVMS this year, and I think the staff there have they really stepped it up this year. And it's been really great to see. We have parents that like to drop off in the wrong locations, and this morning I go and there is a sign this is for staff only. Someone is standing there in a vest directing parents to please go to the car line. It was working on keeping kids safe, and I really liked that. So thank you to staff. Mr. Burns.
I'm a little partial because I did make a video with the bus drivers and the mechanics and stuff. And I also said that you don't have the buses because the mechanics are not good. You don't have bus drivers. If you don't have bus drivers, you don't have kids. And if you don't have kids, you don't have a school. So bus drivers and mechanics to keep those buses running and how they get along together out there. And I do want to say I miss Larry Lampkin that passed away. But bus drivers are great. Jeannie, do you find them easy to work with? Yeah, they're just a great bunch out there. And I would say anyone stop out there. I just drew a blank on his first name out there, the head of the bus, the mechanics, Travis. Stop in and see Travis. All got a big smile on his face.
Well, I think it just reverberates how great we have it here in Douglas County. So thank you very much to all our staff members. We will move on to.
Excuse me, can I say one thing?
Okay.
All right. I guess Mr. Alvarado, Frankie, when we were in back there, I says, remember the term, the words gung ho? In the movies and everything. Gung ho is a term that we use as English that says, I just learned this today, English that says, charge and fight and all that. But it's actually a Chinese term. It's Chinese that developed that wording, and they mean to work together. And that's what applies to what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will move to agenda item number 9, consent items. Do I have a motion from anyone on the board?
I'll do it. I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent items as written.
I have a motion by Ms. Jansen. A second by Ms. Dickerson. Is there any discussion that needs to happen?
I just had one question.
Okay.
On a couple of the things for our Parent Square, the charge for it, is that a one-time thing? Is that a yearly charge? It's on voucher 2613 for 22,000. Is that yearly we pay that, or is that just a one-time thing?
It's an annual cost.
Okay.
Yeah, once a year.
All right. Thanks.
My only question was the Edmentum amount was for 200 program licenses and 150 Apex learning tutorials. Is that over and above the number of students in case there more are added to the program after, or is that based on current enrollment of such?
So Edmentum covers the Spire High School. It covers credit recovery as well. It covers Jacobson High School, the students that we have there at China Springs. And it's just extra licenses that we have.
Okay,
Yeah.
just in case.
Correct.
Thanks.
Ms. Miller?
So I had questions about some charges about learning A to Z, and Mr. Alvarado helped me understand that that was for our Title I schools. Was trying to figure that out because I know other parents groups pay for these. So I was trying to make sure that if one school is paying for something, why wasn't another school? So thank you for that clarification.
No problem. We did check that expenditure. It shows coming out of the discretionary account at Zephyr Cove, but we're uncertain if the PTO provides a reimbursement to that.
So in the past, they had paid for it. And so I think they're working on that with the parents group to find clarification if they need to reimburse the school for that.
All right. At this time, we will open it up for public comment on our consent items. Seeing as there's none, we will close public comment. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. Agenda item number 10 is Board Policy 551, Student Political Activities. Mr. Alvarado?
So this policy is a second reading.
Mhm.
We made the changes as requested by the board after the first reading.
Mhm.
The recommendation is to approve this for implementation.
All right. Is there any further questions from the board? All right. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept number 10, Board Policy 551, Student Political Activities, as a second reading.
A motion by Mr. Burns. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Jansen seconded. Is there any public comment? We will open public comment at this time. Seeing as there is none, we will close public comment. All in favor of the motion on the floor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item number 11, Board Policy 529, Suspension and Expulsion, second reading. Mr. Alvarado.
There are no changes to this policy after the first reading.
Okay.
Once again, the recommended motion is to approve this for implementation.
Correct. All right. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Board Policy 529 as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Zinke, a second by Ms. Miller. We will at this time open it up for public comment. Seeing as there is none, we will close public comment. Did you have a question, Ms. Knighting?
No,
Oh, okay. All in favor of the motion on the floor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. Agenda item number 12, Board Policy 809, Transportation Field Trips. This is the second reading. Ms. Dwyer, did you have anything to add?
I apologize for my absence, bringing these forward and not being here to answer your questions, but I
Okay.
did watch the meeting and took note of your questions. Something I wanted to make clear was this is for anything outside of sport, any sanctioned event, right? So it's outside of our athletics or band or authorized club events. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, did that answer your question, Erin? You're looking at me like maybe it didn't. You were worried about the lake and the lake being further away.
So I do have questions.
Mm-hmm.
So in regards to like say ski team,
Mhm.
both Douglas High and obviously Wattel have to travel for practice.
But that's
It's-
okay because
okay.
that's part of their season and their sport.
Perfect. I just,
Yes.
I was getting a lot of
Yeah.
questions. And so I was like, let's get some clarification. And so I just wanted to make sure that even for practice, say like even golf, they have to go to a, a driving range or a course that's considered part of their sanctioned sport. So therefore it's covered.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
And so what we were trying to work with were additional maybe tournaments or activities that were above and beyond, right? And so the district was paying quite a bit of money for those events and so or tournaments. And so again, we're not discouraging them. We're just not able to fund them. We're asking for the funds to be raised for those types of trips. And then the 60 miles, the 100 miles to the 60 miles. So Blair Hines and I, he's our director of transportation, we sat down and we mapped all the places our schools go, and they're within about a 60-mile radius. So we figured that that was a good, maybe a better boundary. That's how we got that, because that was a question. Like, did you just pull that out of the air, or we didn't? No. We actually calculated. Yeah, no, that's okay. It's a fair question. Marcus, you had questions about our students driving themselves to practices or
Yes, and I
games.
even got I actually got a phone call this week regarding that very question. I deferred them to Frankie, so as to not say the wrong thing, but um yes, specifically over the last year or so with the bus driver shortage, um you have kids that are leaving school at 11 o'clock and their game is not until 7, and then they're not home until 11, strictly because there's a rule or a perceived rule in place that parents cannot take them to the games or anything of that nature, that they have to ride or the school's transportation. So I know it's imperative for some sports that that's not the case, that parents can take them, but I didn't know how that was going to be negotiated or approved or circumvented, as the case may be. So if you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, so previous policy really limited it to parent or guardian of the child, of the student. And so what we're looking at is allowing another authorized adult. So that's where maybe we could have carpool situations, right? So we would have parent permission. We have a form that would require parent permission to give somebody authorization to drive their child to or from an event. And we're also looking at allowing students to drive themselves and only themselves. We are very clear in taking a stance as a district that we do not condone other students driving in cars, and we only want to allow inter-district driving, right? Not to Carson, not to Washoe, not to Lyon, wherever they play. So we're hopeful that those things will help with that situation. And I know we did have one this week for an out-of-town tournament, and I think we were able to approve it through the superintendent so that the parent could transport their own child to the tournament.
Well, and I think a lot of the misconception is that the coaches aren't necessarily sure what's allowed, because in the past it was either district policy or NIAA. I believe district policy, because I know Washoe is different. That unless you had an extenuating circumstance, you couldn't take your child to an event. But the definition of such was not defined. No one knew what extenuating was. So if we could figure that out and then make sure the coaches are aware of such a policy, and obviously there'll be a learning there with the definitions, because there's going to be that, well, little John got to go but Sally didn't, and how come? And so if we could, not tonight by any means, or not on this, but if the coaches are aware of what is allowed and what isn't, that would really help, I think, especially when there's a shortage of drivers or vehicles. Like, I know vehicles are going to be the next one. I've already spoken to JD Frisbee with the girls golf team, and we've never had a problem in the past when I was the coach either. I shouldn't say never had a problem, but you have to take a Suburban. There's no reason to take a school bus for 4 kids. But then sometimes those are already spoken for, and then that becomes a scheduling conflict to where maybe parents can take their kids. So, but yes, if the coaches could get that information, it'd be amazing.
And when I was working on these regulations, I did work with Dan Sanger, our athletic administrator, and Jim Pace up at the lake. So, and I also worked with Blair Hines through all of this to try to get as much information that I could. And all of them were very supportive in putting this together. I talked to Dan specifically because he had just come from a coaches meeting, and he talked to his coaches about changes that were coming this way. And this form would have to be approved by the coach and the administration. It wouldn't be something just easy to do. It is our intent that teams travel together for various reasons, leadership, bonding, what have you. But there are extenuating circumstances, and we want to be open to helping everybody through those.
So if parents sign a permission slip, what's holding them back from, they all live in the same area? neighborhood, whatever, and everybody goes with, Susie's mom. And what legally is stopping that? Where maybe a parent can take a daughter and all of their friends in a suburban of their own.
We have to have permission.
Well, from
And it's
that's
per
the
event,
permission.
right? So it's not a blanket. Susie's mom can just take all the kids to the
No, I mean
basketball,
per thing.
volleyball, right?
Per
And
thing.
so there's liability involved, obviously, if there was an accident or something like that. And so that's part of the form
So-
where the parent is giving Susie's mom permission and releasing liability, assuming Susie's mom's assuming the liability for the transport of those students.
Okay.
Does that make sense? That's
Yeah.
what you're asking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So when my daughter was swimming, I would often take kids to away meets. So if I had 5 kids in the car, I would have to carry the 5 permission slips with me at all times. So, the parents would mostly do the kids. I don't remember any time that the swim team went on a bus. They always went with the parents, took them, and some of the kids drove themselves. But I remember specifically having to have a permit. No one could come in my car without handing me a permission slip. So that might be a way to do it. I don't know what the laws and the rules are, but that worked pretty well.
Our coaches would have the forms, and then our coaches would be required to have sign in and sign out sheets. They would have to keep record of who was dropping off and picking
And that
up
probably
students, so-
happened. It's just quite a few years ago. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Are we going, the parents that are authorized to take other students per permission from parents, those drivers, I'm assuming that they're going to need to be a volunteer background checked. Does that all?
Yes.
That's all
Yes.
going to be done
Yes.
as well. Okay.
Yes.
All right, good. Just making sure.
We would require that they at least have the volunteer
Volunteer.
clearance.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
Good. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Is there any other questions? Ms. Miller?
So I know like with our volleyball team, we have shortage of drivers. So in this instance, it's helpful for then our driver to be able to drop off the team at said location, either in Incline or North Tahoe, and then come back and be able to do their regular route because we had enough parents staying that could take their own students, or they had permission from another parent to take that student. There was forms that we had to sign that said, like in the book, they had it like a book, and it was, nope, I'm taking my student, I'm taking responsibility as of this time kind of thing. So I think it's a great thing that we're trying to do because it helps alleviate that problem of trying to find then a substitute bus driver since our regular one is out doing field trips or these kind of sporting events. So thank you.
All right. Is there any other questions? All right. We will go ahead and open it for public comment at this time.
Marty Swisher, Gardnerville resident. Having dealt with this for a number of years, I think one of the reasons why Douglas County is always required at least going to events to be on school transportation is because it's a school sanctioned event. And sometimes when they leave during the school day, you're releasing a student from the custody of the school to someone that's going to transport them. And we always said it needs to be a qualified driver on a bus that we're saying is going where it's going to go. So that's kind of just a quick little background as to why that is the way that it is. As a coach, I had to do this process. We did not allow other people to check kids out, only the parents. And I see where this might go, and there would be a tracking system. My only concern would be, as a coach, I've got all these forms, and Susie says, I'm going home with Molly's mom. I've got permission. We're good. And as a coach, I'm going to do visual. Molly's mom. Gotcha. I want to make sure I have the form, and then you sign out on the slip. Okay, so I can see a process, but I don't want to put coaches in the crosshairs of having to track all this because it's a liability issue at the end of the day. And then to the volunteer part, if parents or other designees are picking up their kids, I don't think they have to be cleared. Did I misunderstand that? Like if I'm checking out my daughter to go home, I shouldn't have to have volunteer clearance. Is that?
For your own student, I imagine no.
But for somebody else that's
I
my,
didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, it's okay. But for somebody else who, like if I have a son, he's in band, okay, and I have a permission slip that says that I can take him or my next door neighbor can take him, and the band director has that slip, okay. Neither myself or the person that's picking him up should have to have volunteer clearance. I don't understand why we would do that because the custody is going from the school to the individual that's taking the child. So it's just like checking a child out of school. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay, so to me, it's like if a parent signs a kid out of school, then they now have custody of that child, and whatever happens is their liability and responsibility. Same would be for a friend that's approved to check them out. So I don't think you need to have the volunteer clearance. Thank you.
So can
I think
Jeannie wants to take it? Yeah, Jeannie can.
go for it.
I just, thank you for your thoughts. And I just wanted to say that we also worked with legal counsel on this. I forgot to say that with all the people that we worked with. But we take student safety to the utmost importance. And we believe that if we're going to do this and make this change and trust other adults with our students, we want to make sure they passed a background check. And
So it would be more on the driving to the event.
either.
Okay.
Either. If
Okay.
you're driving somebody else's child, that's not your child, that is one of our students.
Okay.
We want to just like we would make sure that a parent going on a field trip, a parent on a field trip
Right.
has to have a background check.
Yeah, they do.
And they are given groups of students to walk around wherever, the museum by themselves.
Downtown New
And
York. Yep.
Exactly. And so we require that they have a cleared background. So
Right.
that would be a requirement.
But you don't have to have an approved background volunteer to do your own child, just
No.
someone else's child.
Exactly. Yes, if you were in a carpool situation. Thank you.
Even myself, because the girls are in sports in Lyon, and even as a grandparent, I've done one permission slip so they know that I'm on there to take them whenever. Do we do anything like that to where, like, in other words, Megan said, look, my mom, her grandma can pick her up whenever. She's like, I'm putting her equal to me.
So typically in those situations, you would be listed as an emergency contact in Infinite Campus, and that's why we would release a child to. You have to be listed in Infinite Campus.
Infinite
In
Campus, how interesting.
in that respect, you would be an emergency contact.
It would seem to me that I'm not trying to, I agree with Marty that not put more of the, on the coaches. It would seem to me if Mary's going to take two kids home, her own daughter and another one, they had that plan beforehand. So they should have a note from that other child's that's going to go home with Mary. So it should, you see what I'm saying? There should be, there's going to be a pre-plan. It's just piled on too much, trying to figure things out. When I played baseball, I got on the bus, I got off the bus, I got back on that bus, and I got off the bus going home and had to go home from there. Coach didn't let anybody go home with anybody else.
Right.
It was too confusing.
But that's the difference in time, right? So now you have kids that have all kinds of other stuff that is going on. The call that I got this week was a child had a pre-planned activity and then their sport, and they wanted permission to go to the sport from their pre-planned activity, or else they don't get to play, and they were worried about playing. As far as after games are concerned, right now, parents are not allowed to take someone else's child. And in fact, I can attest to this from a bunch of sports. The parent there has to be on the premises to sign their child out from the football game if they're playing football, the basketball game, whatever the game is. And upon signing their child out and giving the slip to the coach and seeing them, then they can do whatever they want with their kid. But Paul's dad can't sign out Jerry. Does that make sense? And so, but that's what we're trying to work on. And so to limit the liability of the school, it's an easy step if parents want to take it, to go get the volunteer form, to have the background check, to get the proper credentials in order to drive a child so that the school is not liable for anything happening afterwards.
Right. And you hit the key when you started was pre-plan. And that's what I was talking about, pre-plan, make sure that if
Well,
the child's
that-
going home with somebody else, there needs to be a slip.
Yeah,
So
this
there
all
is-
has to be
it's in the
filled out. Yeah.
It's actually in the
It's
documents, and it has to be at least 24 hours in advance, but we are asking parents to arrange it at the beginning of the season. So it's not something the coach has to manage every game, that it's something that's prearranged. And this is at the discretion of the coach and the administrator. So if they say, no, I can't manage that, I won't manage that, we're going to do it this way, then that's the way we're going to do it. And so we're just trying to, we don't see this affecting many. We're just trying to give an option, especially for our smaller sports, golf, swim, dive, things like that, where we have students going far and their parents can't, they're either missing a lot of school or their parents can't get to the actual location to pick them up. So they're not getting home on the bus till 10, 11 at night. And so that's what we're trying to help with.
Sorry, it brought up another thought. Would we need them to be driver approved? Okay, because they're driving their own vehicles? Okay, just,
So for the record, no, we would not make them go through the district driving record approval. And the form actually addresses that we're releasing liability and that it is
Mhm.
up to the driver to have the proper insurance and coverage.
Mhm. All right. I hope we were able to answer some of your questions, Mr. Swisher. Is there any further public comment? You didn't close public comment. Okay. Seeing as there is none, we will close public comment. Any further discussion by the board? All right. Do I have a motion from someone on the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised policies regarding the athletic and field trip policies surrounding transportation.
I'll second. I have a motion by Ms. Millen and a second by Ms. Jansen. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, agenda item number 13 is a health advisory committee position. Usually in January, we make those assignments, but we believe that we have, and it's a new committee, isn't it?
It's not a new committee,
Okay.
but what we notice is in the health advisory meeting, which is a publicly noticed meeting, we do not have board representation
Okay.
in that meeting.
Okay. All right. So, so we as a board are going to discuss who would like to sit on that.
When does
I-
it meet?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't currently serve as on a board,
That's right.
so I would like to serve on
She
this
serves as
board.
alternate.
I serve on alternate, like on every single one, but not at the head of anything. So I would like to serve
Then
on
I
this board.
second Melinda to be on the board.
All right. We have to take public comment first.
Yeah.
I know. We would like to open it up for public comment. All right, seeing as there's none, we will close it.
More information.
More
Because you wanted to know where,
Yes.
when they meet, how often.
Take it away, Jeannie. I'm sorry, Ms. Dwyer.
That's okay. It's the fourth Tuesday of the month from 4:30 to 6 p.m. It rarely goes till 6 p.m. And we do not meet in July. And so it's a committee of representation from all of our bargaining units and myself and our benefits and risk management coordinator. And like Frankie said, it's a publicly noticed meeting. We have agendas and minutes and all the things. And it's really a committee that works to guide our self-funded insurance program. So.
All right. So, with it being a committee appointment, do we vote on that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it has been, Melinda Knighting has been nominated for this committee position. It has been seconded by Ms. Miller. Melinda Knighting voted herself. Nominated herself. Thank you. Voted.
I make a motion to appoint Melinda Knighting as the Health Advisory Committee member from the Douglas County School Board.
All right. So now it's official. We have a nomination by Mr. Zinke and a second by Ms. Miller. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations on your first front row seat to committee. There you
We'll see you next Tuesday.
go. Hit the ground running. There you go. All right. At this time, we will jump to agenda item number 16, board reports. Mr. Zinke, would you like to start us off?
I don't have much. The kids started school and I was out of town for again this go round. So the chamber changed their meetings to quarterly. So those won't happen for a little bit there. No action was taken at the Parks and Rec committee meeting, and they're meeting again with most of the items now for action. So there you go.
Ms. Miller?
I attended on July 30th the leadership training here in this building with site administration and our cabinet team, where Frankie delivered his welcome back speech introduction about inspiring hope, which was really nice to see. Watching everyone complete their WIG, their wildly important goals. It's really interesting to see everyone really trying to work out those MTSSs and just really support our students. On August 11th, I completed a NASB training on strategic planning. It was via Zoom. So that was very nice to see how the other districts handle their strategic planning and the thoughts that were in process with all that. On Monday, I did site tours with Miss Yvonne and Miss Melinda and Frankie and Jeannie up at the lake. We toured George Whittle High School and Zephyr Cove Elementary School on the first day of school. And then on the 19th, we had annual governance training upcoming. So tomorrow, Parents Club is hosting an event. It's called The Way We Gather. It's shutting down Warrior Way. They have a road permit and it's a bunch of tables. It's similar to an event that happens in June over in South Lake. It's called The Longest Table. It's just a big community event type situation. So everybody's going to bring their own food. There'll be a band, there'll be raffles, and just kind of a way to promote community. And then girls golf for Whittle have their first match on the 28th, and boys soccer have their first match on September 5th at home. So we're excited.
Fun. Ms. Jansen?
I attended the July 30th leadership meeting here, and it was very interesting. Got to talk to a lot of different staff members that I've never really talked to before, so I enjoyed it. And on August 19th, I also attended the calendar beginning of the year meeting. That was helpful too.
I've actually been out of town and in and out of town quite a bit, so I don't have anything to report. Thank you.
That's okay. Ms. Knighting?
I attended the NASB strategic planning workshop on the 11th of August. I went on the first day of school visits and we hit all of the schools except I had to cut out before Gardnerville Elementary School, but I go in there a lot more than I do now because of the district office being there. So, and it was just great to see all the schools on the first day. Lots of excitement, and it was fun to pop into a few classes. I did the annual governance training on the 19th, and then I went to the first football game last week, and it was great.
Mr. Burns.
I went to the same meetings with Aaron, Susie, Melinda, both on 19th and 30th. I also am on the debt management committee for the county, and they haven't had anything going on the past couple months since the new justice building is being built. But they do have some stuff coming up, and I believe it has to do with sewer and water and everything. So that will be on the 30th of this month.
All right, thank you. I was able to, the first day of school, go with Miss Dwyer and Mr. Alvarado and Miss Knighting. We went to every single school, and it was so much fun. The energy that was across the district was just top notch. Like it was a great day. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was great company, and we got to see kids, and they were so excited to be at school. So that was a lot of fun. Then on the 19th, I did the training as well. And then today I attended the county commissioners meeting. A lot of times I'll just watch it. There's not a lot that has to do with the school district, but today I decided to go so that I could let the county commissioners know that we had a great first week. It was fun, and everything went off pretty well. And I also was able to, they were talking about they visited China Springs. And so I was able to invite them, or will invite them when we have our next graduation, and the opportunity that they had, and they took Rob and Titus out there. So that was good. And so they're trying to increase the funding for that facility. So that's a good thing. For NASB, we haven't had a meeting for a couple of months. But there is a Vegas trip. There's a meeting and training on the 5th and 6th in Vegas. And I will be unable to go. So Ms. Dickerson, yep. Ms. Dickerson has gladly agreed to go. I have prior commitments. So I look forward to hearing that and how it goes. So, all right. We will now turn the time over to Mr. Alvarado for his superintendent report and information.
Okay, I'll start with information first.
Okay.
First, for donations, we want to thank Kevin Martinez for his $1,200 donation to the Douglas High School soccer program. We did mention at the last meeting, Burlington Coat Factory donated $5,000, but did not have that listed. I also want to acknowledge that Rich McGuffin donated dollars to specific programs at Douglas High School. We don't have the total dollar amount at this point, but we will make sure that that's listed on the next board agenda item. Fundraisers, we have 2 fundraisers coming up. It's a pickleball tournament flyer that is attached to our agenda. So pickleball is happening on September 13th. It's from 8 to 1 p.m. And then between 10 and 2 p.m., there's music, food, raffles, and a kids zone. And they're also doing Dunk a Teacher in a dunk tank. Monthly update on enrollment counts. We have more enrollment than what we anticipated and what we projected. We are down 125 students from what we had at the end of last year. We were anticipating approximately a 200 student decline. So it's nice to see that we have more students in the building. We do have a spike of nearly 60 students at CVMS that we weren't expecting. And they're close to 660 students there. So they had the biggest growth out of everyone. We have administrative regulation 216A that is attached. That goes with that policy. Moving forward, we will put all administrative regulations in information items, as that is an operational item. Previously, we did put those on the agenda to allow the board to discuss it and solicit public comment. The last informational item is AR 705A. That's for identification badges. In the past, we required employees to turn in their badges when they change school sites. That is eliminated. So now employees can keep their same badge, and that will cut down cost. And we are charging more for the replacement of badges when they are lost.
Really fast, on the 6th of September is the MES.
It's a 30th year anniversary.
Thank you. I'm
yeah.
like, it's a year. I don't remember. Yes, it's a big deal that they're doing. So
Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
Going to my superintendent report. It was fun meeting with our leaders on July 30th. We had 3 days of professional learning with all of our site leaders and cabinet team. Inspiring hope is our theme. And what I shared with our leaders, I'll make it short and brief. But I believe hope needs to live with faith and love, and that we need to work together, be a team, and support each other like we're family. At the end of the day, we are all exhausted working to serve our students and community, and we all deserve to have our opinions, our voices valued, and we will move forward in that direction collectively. On the first day of school, had an opportunity to tour all of our schools with our board president, with our vice president, and also with Ms. Dwyer. That was a fun and exciting day, and there's nothing more enjoyable than seeing a smile on kids' faces, and seeing activities. There were some bubbles going on at the elementary school level. At the middle school level, there was inspirational thoughts that were chalked on the concrete for kids to see and read as they entered the buildings. And at the high school, there's no greater excitement than a high school as you walk in, with 1,500 kids, 1,600 kids excited for their first day. By the time we got there, they were all in their classes, but kids were really eager to socialize and get the learning started. Over the summer, I had an opportunity to meet with WNC, as the president mentioned earlier today. That's where he informed us that they're not renewing the lease for Aspire High School at the WNC facility. We're a step ahead of them. We've already been looking at our district facilities to see where we can place Aspire High School. We have not we're close to making a final decision, and we're not ready to release that information yet, but in the near future we will. And in January, we'll start the planning process to relocate Aspire High School on July 1 of 2026. We don't have a student board member yet. Unfortunately, at the end of the school year, kids' minds were on the summertime, and we received no applications when we put that opportunity out for 6 weeks. We're posting that this week, and students will have an opportunity to apply, and we wish to have a board member here for the September board meeting. And I know there's at least one student that's interested up at the lake. They were studying abroad last year, but now they're back on campus and they have an active email and they'll have the ability to apply. But we're hoping to solicit more applications. There's nothing more important than soliciting voice, and having a student voice at the table is important for the district. I thought it was very beneficial for last year. As everyone knows, the district office closed, and we have 2 protected species at the district office that have made their way in and made homes. So we have bats that are protected, and we have honeybees. And so on Monday, we hired a licensed beekeeper to come out and relocate the bees. We can't remove them. We can't terminate them. They have to be relocated. We are going to be relocating those to a ranch here in Carson Valley, so the bees get to stay here in their home area. And that'll happen next week. And then we'll move on to the bats, hopefully prior to October. And then we'll have a more definitive timeline and scope of work that will be provided by Phil Demas as he works with our insurance carrier to repair and remediate the situation that we're experiencing. I want to say thank you to Marcy Guthrie and the GES staff, and also to the Heritage staff for sharing their space with us. It's nice to be at a school site seeing kids in action, being able to walk into classroom and seeing them learn. I had an opportunity to see many classes as we visited on the first day, but I mostly interact with our 5th grade team because they are on the same 300 hallway as our offices. So looking forward to seeing our 5th graders become leaders on the GS campus. I attended our NAS monthly meeting. That's the Nevada Association of State Superintendents. And we're forward planning, working together, collaborating, and discussing some of the state initiatives, some of the funding issues. We will host the NAS meeting here in October, and I'm looking at taking them out to China Springs, Jacobson High School, do a tour of that facility. None of our superintendents have seen what takes place there. So it's important for them to see that because many superintendents have students that are served at that campus. I attended NASB strategic planning, and I know many of you have, but you forgot to mention it in your reports. It was nice to hear the strategic planning efforts from the other districts that are in Nevada and hearing how they approach the process. We have 2 years left in ours, and next year we'll start the process to develop a new 5-year plan. And last but not least, trustees, if you can stay about 5 to 10 minutes after this meeting, we need to get your availability so we can schedule that special meeting for the governance handbook. It's going to take about 6.5 hours to go through that governance handbook. We want to do all that work, then practice it, and obviously get legal counsel to review it and make sure it aligns with the NRS and NAC here in our state. So that's my report.
Thank you very much for staying busy and active and involved in our community. Appreciate it. And that concludes our meeting before 7:30. Meeting is adjourned. It is, I just want to know, it's only 7:23.